the maternal father of the Pokémon world. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 501 Violation. Anyway, from the fact that I almost fell, we can tell that it was definitely not Celebi's fault, right? Otherwise, can you imagine that Celebi not only wanted to kill a person, but also specifically hurt the people who came to check it out? Question mark? Even if it's not the same Celebi I met before and doesn't know me, it's impossible for him to do this, right? Eminem emphasized at this time. Indeed. Hengao Police Department also accepted this statement at this time point. Junsha will continue to investigate after that, and the focus of the investigation is also on the people in the same cable car. Although they don't know how it was done, there is no doubt that Eminem's testimony greatly weakened the possibility of Celebi's curse, and Kagoro blocked the car door and released wind speed. The behavior of dog greatly reduces the possibility of general external crime. Point: if it's Celebi, then Kagoro's actions have limited effect. The legendary Celebi can travel in time, so what's the use of blocking the door? However, if Celebi is not considered for the moment, then as an ordinary prisoner, he should just use tricks rather than actually traveling through time and space. In fact, in terms of skills, Celebi does not know Black Mist. But that is the setting in the game. No one knows what the skill pool of the mythical beast is in reality. Even Eminem is not sure, because you can tell from looking at Flash that he has mastered almost all electric skills, does not occupy skill slots, and is in a dominant state at any time. It is not something that ordinary Pokémon can compare with, let alone what game data can summarize. And when Eminem saw that he couldn't help anymore for the time being, he went to find someone else. First point: Tomoyo and Sonoko were comforting Sakura at this time, because Izo was still dead. Sakura was very uncomfortable. Point: Xiaolan, as one of the witnesses, is still recording a statement, and Conan is collecting clues everywhere, because he is a child. How's it going? Have Junsha and Uncle Kagoro found any clues? Yuanzi asked hurriedly when he saw Ami coming. Point: Eminem looked at Sakura and then said matter-of-factly, preliminary proof is that it is definitely not a super Pokémon factor such as a mythical beast, but someone killed Izo, otherwise he wouldn't have deliberately made ice to stop it. I'll check. What Eminem mainly wants to say is that it is certainly not the reason for the Kuro card. The She card will not deliberately kill someone, and it does not have the function of freezing point. But Sakura said at this time, but I did dream about it. Firstly, Sakura felt guilty for not being able to stop this scene, and secondly, Sakura still felt that it must be related to the Clo card. Seeing the usually careless Sakura sitting there with such an expression, Eminem stepped forward, touched her head and said, "Don't worry, I will prove that they are all stupid humans." Incorrect. At this moment, Eminem exuded an aura of trust. Sakura, who originally didn't like having her head touched like a child, felt a sense of peace of mind for some reason. Then, Eminem turned around to investigate the case, and the first step of investigation was naturally to go to Conan and ask him if he had obtained the results of the investigation. Point: Eminem asked the identification personnel at the scene, who said helplessly, "Huh? You mean that little brother? He just left over there. Please don't let him run around." Sorry, I will teach him a lesson," Eminem said and looked in the direction pointed by the other person. Point: as a result, I saw Conan was about to take the elevator down. Eminem took a step forward to block the door and took the same elevator as him. Conan's face was full of thoughts at this time. When he saw it was Eminem, he just glanced at it without saying a word. "Any clues?" Amu asked directly. "The victim was hit hard on the back of the head with a stone and died," Conan said concisely. Point: Slim Shady, you don't need to tell me about this, right? The forensics department already knows it," Eminem said helplessly. "The other thing I must say is that the attitudes of Mr. Hosanori and Miss Ayaka are a bit strange." Conan obviously had no clue. Point: after hearing this, Eminem also understood that Conan should have no clues. He was forced to ignore logic and only pretend to be polite. Note 1. Is there anything else you haven't said? Conan then turned to stare at Eminem and asked, oh, it's true. Eminem was stunned for a moment, and then thought it was okay to tell Conan, so he said, the girl with me, the one with chestnut hair, she has the ability to predict dreams. In fact, the day before yesterday at night, she dreamed that someone died on Saliba's statue, so we were so nervous these 2 days. Prophetic dreams are not unscientific in this world. When Conan heard what Eminem said, he completely accepted it. She was dreaming about today's scene, right? Conan confirmed, well, I knew before that Rangzeo was hated by others, and I confirmed with her that it was Rangzeo. Eminem nodded. What? Conan looked surprised, as if he had discovered something. Huh? What's wrong? It was indeed Rangzeo that I dreamed about. Amu looked at him in confusion. Did you confirm that it was Rangzeo before? How did you confirm it? Conan asked eagerly. Just describe Rangzeo's appearance too. Wait. Amu also reacted at this time point. This is very inconsistent. When they saw the corpse, Izo was lying on the hand of the Celebi Colossus with his back facing up. If this was the scene in his dream, Sakura should not be able to see Izo's appearance point. However, when Eminem and Sakura were confirming, they mentioned that he was a bearded person, and Sakura also recognized this. Her attitude at the time was very firm, and it didn't look like she was being induced to make a vague judgment. When you came up and found the body, was it the same as the one you saw on the cable car? Amu asked quickly. Wasn't he already dead at that time? Then he turned over on his own. Same. At least he was lying there. When we came to the viewing platform, we were not the first to discover it, but Miss Ayaka. Conan said at this time. Huh? Amu was stunned when he heard this. How could Ayaka come up first? When we came, the elevator happened to be broken, so we ran up the stairs. Ayaka, who came later, got into the elevator. That was back to normal. Conan said helplessly. The two of them talked for so long before the elevator finally reached the end. It was equivalent to a height of more than 30 floors, and the stairs were only for emergency use, and were very narrow, making it inconvenient to let out the wind speed dogs to ride. Of course Conan and the others couldn't run fast. That is, only those with excellent physique can run up in one breath. Immediately, Conan's glasses reflected, and he continued, I think I know what to look for. As soon as the elevator door opened, Conan ran towards the cable car departure station. Cheating, that is, in werewolf type games, judging the identity of other people by looking at their facial expressions is usually done when there are no clues. Chapter 502 Directing and acting by oneself and taking advantage of the situation. Found it. Conan found a cable car at the back, and, from the storage space under the seat, he found a set of clothes, the same style as President Izo. The cable car they were riding in was now surrounded and searched by Junsha, but no one paid much attention to the car behind it. But we had already seen Rangzeo's body at that time. Amu knew what Conan was thinking, and just reminded him, no, what we saw was just the clothes of a man wearing the same clothes as President Izo, lying there. Conan said at this time, huh? Eminem hasn't reacted yet, didn't the Junshus investigate the Pokémon that everyone carried before? In fact, there was one person who did not investigate clearly. I only know that one of them must be a motorized lizard, that is, Izao himself. Conan said at this time point. Of course, the Junshus will not let go of such a big clue. A Pokémon that can learn the Black Mist skill and has an explicit skill level is the biggest suspect. But in fact, using this method, of course not a single suspect was found. There is no one present for this Pokémon, and it brings Black Mist. Of course, Eminem's Noah and Zio-Shen have not been searched. The former is in the USB flash drive, and the latter, the elf ball is specially made, and even if someone suspects that Eminem has a mythical beast, it will not be necessary. Gotta check it out. The same goes for the dream monster that lives in Conan's watch, but there is also a Pokémon that has left, and that is Rangzeo's own Pokémon. His Pokeball was also set as a special ball that would be opened after death. As a result, the Pokémon returned to the wild on the spot and did not stay around. This shows that the relationship between Izao and his Pokémon is already very bad. At least, it's very light point. It's normal when you think about it. This kind of unscrupulous guy will definitely not be liked by Pokémon. Maybe many Pokémon have defected. Once Rangzeo died, everyone dispersed. No one knows exactly what Pokémon Rangzeo brought with him before. They only know that there must be a motor lizard, which he bought at a high price, and always brings with him. You mean tail cut? Amu also reacted at this time. That's right. If it's a broken tail, it can temporarily form a dummy like himself. Conan said with certainty. So, you are suspicious. Eminem already understood what Conan meant. That's right. She should be the murderer. In this way, his and her reactions make sense, and this outfit should have been prepared by her. Conan said this, feeling a little unsure because according to his reasoning, this suit of clothes should not be found here. He came to the cable car to look for any missing clues. Who knew that he would find such explosive direct evidence? But if found here, it cannot be regarded as direct evidence. No, that's not right. There should be something else we don't know. Amu thought for a moment, and then shook his head. Eminem already understood Conan's thoughts in the beginning. This matter should have been caused by Rangzeo and Baoze's father and son. Izeo faked his death at first. He probably didn't leave the cable car at all. Instead, he used a Pokémon like Hidden Dragon to pretend to scream twice while the surroundings were dark, and then became invisible in the cable car, because there is also a Bayonori who cooperates with him. As long as he hides in the corner and is blocked by Bayonori, he doesn't have to worry about others coming into contact with him. The dummy created with tail docking will be discovered immediately by everyone, and Hayose will also set the pace and ask everyone to follow him to the observation platform. At this time, there should actually be a flying Pokémon or a gliding Pokémon. You can continue to take the cable car while others leave, loop back, glide down at a suitable location, and land on the viewing platform first point. And during this period, the elevator broke down, which bought even more time. At this time, Rangzeo can easily prepare and perform a great transformation for everyone on the spot, mocking the rumors that he was cursed by Celebi, and at the same time, he also deceived the guy from Donghae Daily, the person who ran the ceremony. He had calculated the time, and it happened to be before the evening news deadline. This place is already on the outskirts of the town, and the signal is extremely poor, requiring a wired phone to contact him. Just after witnessing his body, Ashihu from Donghae Daily had already called the editorial department and asked them to report Rangzeo on the front page. Death news. He will fill in the follow-up content. If the plan is implemented normally, Donghae Daily will lose its reputation and even directly damage their credibility in the eyes of the people. At the same time, Rangzeo could also use this scene to play hard tricks on those who mocked him, breaking the rumors of a curse in one fell swoop. But what I didn't expect was, however, someone took advantage of their trap and actually killed him on the giant statue of Celebi. That's why Bao's reaction was very strange. He probably still doubts whether it was really an accident. As for the person who did it, Conan suspected it was Ayaka. Although the motivation is unclear, it is indeed feasible that Ayaka can do it. As long as she knows the plan in advance and knows what manipulation has been done to the elevator, she can get there first. Of course, it would be difficult for Ayaka, a weak woman, to kill Izo, who was on guard, and no very lethal Pokémon was found on her just now. But now that they see this outfit, Conan and Eminem both understand. Ayaka just needs to arrive first, then put on Izo's clothes, push down Izo's substitute, and pretend to be a corpse, and then she can suddenly take action and kill Izo who is approaching. As for what Sakura dreamed about, it should be the state of the substitute in the Izo project at the beginning. That is, the face is exposed. However, in order for Ayaka to complete her plan, she used a substitute in advance and changed her face into a posture that did not show her face. Even if Izo found out about this, he would just treat it as an accidental fall. And it is true that Conan had asked Sonoko before. After getting off the cable car, Tomoyo was anxious to find Sakura. Sonoko himself was asked by Ayaka to report to Junsa, and Zoai also needed to be taken care of, so no one acted with Ayaka. Even if it wasn't split into two cable cars, Ayaka could have excused herself to other things and stayed a step behind in order to catch up with the elevator that was working without having to climb the stairs with everyone else. The case has been deduced very smoothly so far, but why are these clothes still here? Unless Ayaka is not wearing this outfit. Otherwise, there is no chance or reason to put back the key to the crime. Wouldn't it be better to just find a place and burn it? Maybe. He thought of other ways without pretending to be a substitute, so Conan looked for reasons from other directions at this time. No, I mean, there must be other things we don't know about, not just the clothes. Eminem said confidently. Conan said suspiciously, you wouldn't, because you felt that Damoto-ran was guilty of causing death, so you deliberately wanted to let the murderer go. Ah, you didn't let me get these clothes back, did you? Eminem rolled his eyes when he heard this and said, you have such a big idea, you should let Damoto Tourism build a tunnel inside. Eminem thought it was another direction. Now this kind of case speculation is going smoothly, but it lacks the space for Shippei to play a role. If it had nothing to do with Toki cards, Sakura would never have dreamed about this scene point. Or is it really Miss Ayaka who happened to inspire the power of Toki card so she can achieve the kill without pretending to be a stand-in? Eminem was also a little confused at this time. Chapter 503 exposed. Damn it, you woman, you're actually cheating on me. Your father just passed away, and you're doing this kind of thing. Oh, I originally joined the Moto Kanko for revenge, but it's a pity that he is dead, and I can't see his crimes being exposed. You wait a minute. You still want to hit someone? Quick, Zenran, take a photo of him. After the death of President Izo, the heir of the Moto Kanko beat the person who exposed it. At this time, a conflict broke out between Ayaka, Xiu and Zenran of Donghei Daily, and the Damoto family. However, there were Junsha nearby, so they were naturally stopped immediately. What are you doing? What are you doing? What's wrong with you? Hengao Police Department scolded angrily. This case was already a headache for him, but now these witnesses are actually fighting. Mr. Junsha, they are going to beat up the whistleblower and reporters. Ashiu said immediately. This woman is talking nonsense. Hasori glared at Ayaka fiercely. I'm just revealing the truth. Ayaka said with a straight face. The Hengao Police Department also heard that it was something completely unrelated to the murder, so he said, okay, let's talk about your conflicts later. Don't let me see that someone used violence. In addition, if it is a report about an illegal incident, it is recommended to report to Junsha at the same time. Of course, even if Junsha is reported, it is not reported to him. Hengao is specifically responsible for important cases, and reports on illegal business operations of enterprises are obviously not handled by him. But Hengao Police Department suddenly realized that the quarrel was said to have nothing to do with the murder, but it did have a little bit to do with it. Wait a minute. Miss Ayaka, you are the victim's secretary, right? That means you actually hate the victim? At this time, the Hengao Police Department discovered that they had missed a person with a motive. Ayaka was silent for a while and then said, okay, I admit that my brother died unexpectedly during the construction of this cable car. What? You are? Bayo's face turned ugly when he heard this. Haha, of course you don't know, because my parents divorced when I was a child, and very few people know about our relationship, but in private, we siblings have always encouraged each other, because there were omissions in the project safety issues. They didn't want to be exposed, so they threatened my mother not to pursue the case with the compensation that would be used for medical treatment. However, my brother still died of serious injuries, and my mother passed away not long after. My mother told me about this before she died, so I came to the Moto Tourism just for revenge. Ayaka admitted at this time. I will ask my colleagues to handle this matter later. Now, if I remember correctly, Miss Ayaka, you are the first discoverer of the real close range, right? I should have asked you before about your opinion of the victim's views. The tone of the Hengao Police Department became more serious at this time. His death. I was also surprised I didn't say it out loud because I was afraid. I'm sorry. Ayaka apologized. Okay, but if that's the case. The Hengao police department was about to question Ayaka further, but Kagoro on the side had already said, it's nothing. At most, she only came into contact with the body first, and we were the second. As soon as you find someone, this is correct. Hengao police department was about to admit it at this time point, but upon seeing this, Hasori immediately said, wait a minute. If that's the case, I have something to say. Mr. Barrows, do you have any testimony that you haven't submitted yet? Hengao Police Department became a little angry. There was no clue to this case originally, but each of these witnesses still had reservations. Well, actually, Bayonori was still hesitating at this time point. After all, if the trap set up by their father and son is exposed, if it turns out to be an accident, wouldn't it mean that they are villains in vain? The impact on Damoto tourism is even greater. On the contrary, if it is not exposed, the worst thing is that this project will be scrapped. When he inherits the position of president, he can also flex his muscles in other aspects. Mr. Bayoze, if you know anything. Hengao Police Department saw his hesitation and became more anxious. Why do you suddenly feel something so familiar? Boom. Kagoro suddenly retreated in confusion, then leaned against the wall and sat down. Yes, of course Conan has already taken action. Eminem had suspected before that the dream demon who took the initiative to find Conan should have awakened the hypnosis. It's probably the hidden aspect that has awakened. After all, it was released in front of Junsha without anyone noticing. Detective Kagoro, are we about to start? Hengao Police Department looked very excited when they saw this. Well, I can't stand it anymore. Mr. Yasunori, are you still unwilling to tell the truth? What you and your father planned before is the biggest key to this case. Kagoro said seriously at this time. Later, under Kagoro's questioning and speculation, Hasori saw that he could not keep it secret, so he had no choice but to tell the story of what happened before. Hearing that he was almost cheated, RXIU also looked ugly at this time point, but in this way, the case has made great progress, because that's right, Miss Ayaka, President Izo should still be alive when you went up, right? Kagoro asked Ayaka at this time point. Conan always finds conclusive evidence first and then exposes the culprit, otherwise it is likely to alert the enemy. Unless if no evidence can be found, Conan will use deception to force the prisoner to reveal his secret. Seeing that there is no further progress, today's investigation will end. After that, the prisoner will have enough time to destroy the evidence, and there will be nothing more to do. So Conan takes a risk, and, at least he has found indirect evidence that is more important than clothes and wigs. Although Ayaka looked ugly at this time, she still sighed and said, yes, I did overhear the plan of Izao and his son, and then I wanted to expose him. But, when I went up, Izao was already dead. Oh. Miss Ayaka, do you really just want to expose this matter? I'm afraid that's not right. Mr. Hasori, your father's substitute should not have been placed like this at first. When I saw it in the cable car, your surprised attitude is a bit strange. Yes, it was originally a more obvious position, where the face could be seen. Initially, the substitute was leaning on the lucky egg with a knife stuck in his chest. Yasunori admitted at this time, but also explained. He said, I was really surprised at the time, but I just thought I turned it over later. The posture has changed. Could it be? Hengao Police Department also understood at this time. Yes, because in order to commit the crime, the prisoner must cover the face of the fake corpse, and the double will disappear when attacked, but the fake dagger will not. I have asked Conan to wait at the departure station before I found the dagger in the trash can in the women's bathroom. Kagoro said step by step. But at this moment, I heard the sound of an engine. Conan, I heard that you entered the women's restroom again. Eminem, who had just arrived, asked. Chapter 504. Something is wrong. Amidst the sound of the engine, Eminem arrived at the last moment. Of course, what makes the engine sound is the motor lizard's mouth, which is actually the sound of its breathing. Eminem, who had gone separate ways with Conan to look for evidence, finally came back. because Conan didn't trust Eminem very much, and, after Conan cracked the most important modus operandi, Eminem also had his own ideas, so he investigated in his own way. Eminem looked at Conan in the blind spot and asked deliberately, "Conan, I heard that you entered the women's restroom again." Conan, "Brother, Eminem. Of course I asked the staff to help me." Conan stared at Eminem speechlessly, thinking that he was trying to cause trouble. At this time, the appraiser took the dagger that Kagoro just asked Conan to submit and saw a long-haired dog sniffing it and barking at Ayaka several times. "That's right. This is the dagger that should be on the substitute," Hasori said immediately. "The blade of this dagger is only half cut and it should have been glued to the substitute before. This undoubtedly proves that Ayaka had come to move the fake corpse in advance. The reason why the dagger had to be taken away was because if the fake dagger was inserted in the chest, it would not be possible to assume the normal posture of lying on the statue's hand unless it was removed, and Ayaka changed the posture of the substitute before the ceremony this morning. After giving up the idea, she just threw it in the trash can in the bathroom. After all, in her opinion, as long as she didn't want to kill anyone, there would be no murder happened. The will to destroy the evidence is not strong. I just don't want to take it with me. I did think about killing that bastard Rangzeo with my own hands, but before I set off, I regretted that he was not worthy of me, so I told the reporter of Donghai Daily that the person who ran the ceremony in the end, I will expose the crimes of this company, but at the time they thought it was the Moto Kanko delaying measure, so they didn't pay attention. Ayaka admitted what she did at this time, but she did not admit that she made the final move. The Hangzhou Police Department quickly looked at Ash, and Ash and Zenin also nodded quickly, agreeing with Ayaka's statement, although it is not much evidence. But from a psychological point of view, if Ayaka really wants to kill Izo, what will happen next? In order not to be suspected, she would not want to expose her hostility towards him. I originally wanted to dress up as Izo and sneak up on him. Of course I knew the clothes he wanted to wear for the ceremony, and I had already prepared the same ones, as well as a similar wig, all hidden in the cable car, where I was going to sit. You can go find it. I haven't touched it at all today, and if I use it, I won't have the chance to put it back, Ayaka said calmly. Regarding this point, Conan was also doubtful at this time. Although he deduced that Ayaka did it, he always felt that something was wrong, and Ayaka's attitude was not at all like being deceived by him. He said the blundering criminal, Conan is not sure, because it is really not her fault, but Ayaka's scheming and strong psychological quality. After all, she had indeed moved the substitute. When she came up, Rangzeo should still be alive. There was no other possibility. Okay, but if that's the case, then I need you, Miss Ayaka, to cooperate with the investigation, Hangzhou Police Department said seriously. Although there is not enough conclusive evidence to prove that the murderer is Ayaka, it has been proved that she was the one who moved the fake corpse, and she was also the first to arrive here. When she saw Izo who came over, she could be summoned. It can even enter the stage of court confrontation. If the defense lawyer cannot provide other possibilities, then, wait a minute. I have confirmed that the murderer is not Ayaka, but someone else. Eminem stopped confidently at this time. Mr. Amu already knows? Isn't it Miss Ayaka? Hangzhou Police Department was stunned when he heard this. Conan also looked at Eminem in surprise at this time, as if he wanted to find out whether he really knew something, or he was helping Ayaka evade guilt. That's right. Let me explain to you now what exactly happened. Eminem's tone was very calm, and in Conan's view, there was no hint of pushiness at all. After everyone's attention was focused, Eminem first asked, Miss Ayaka, first I want to confirm something with you. Did you change your mind during the delay before departure? That's right. Ayaka was a little surprised at first. Why would Eminem know such a thing? And then admitted it. And Eminem continued to ask, if I'm not wrong, the reason why you changed your mind was not because you suddenly figured it out, but because you got some kind of hint, such as, you heard some sound or something. Maybe later you may think it's an illusion, but this voice or other reminder should be real. Ayaka was stunned when she heard this, then nodded and said, indeed, in the bathroom, I was going to connect the fake dagger to the real blade, but at that time, I heard with my own voice, I suddenly understood that the reason why my mother told me that, and my brother's spirit in heaven must not be, to see me do this, so I contacted Asio and the others instead. Voice. The Hangzhou Police Department also looked thoughtful at this time, but no result came out of thinking, isn't this really a conversation between a person and himself when he is nervous? That's Ayaka's own voice. Eminem said. Hangzhou Police Department was stunned when he heard this, isn't it still his own idea? But it's not a spiritual war or anything like that, it's a real voice. Let me continue to explain what exactly happened. Ahem. Let's continue with Detective Kagoro's reasoning. Eminem said. It started when Miss Ayaka came to the observation deck. Hangzhou Police Department immediately paid attention. This is also the most difficult part to confirm. No, it started when Izo was stabbed in the chest by Miss Ayaka. Amu said in shock. What? Then it's still. Hangzhou Police Department no longer understood what Eminem was talking about. Point isn't the murderer still Ayaka? But it's not a knife, it's a stone. No, it's not me. Ayaka quickly denied it. Please, don't interrupt me. Eminem emphasized point, shocked by Eminem's serious tone. The two of them were really quiet for a while, and Eminem took advantage of the situation and said, this case is not over yet. There are important things happening in the future. I think it should be Salibi. Salibi appeared at this time, not wanting to see such a tragedy happen because of his statue, so Salibi distorted time so that the future Miss Ayaka could respond to the present. Miss Ayaka, please explain. Everyone was surprised when they heard Eminem's imagination. Conan wanted to say something, but he opened his mouth, but felt that it was reasonable. Indeed, there was something wrong with Ayaka's expression at that time, and this could also explain why Ayaka did not act according to the original plan, and also contacted Ash and the others. Apparently she gave up on killing, and decided to use the media to expose her point etc. Speaking of something wrong, Conan suddenly understood what the truth Eminem wanted to say was, but soon Conan became confused again. But, if that's the case, why are there two times? Chapter 505 The Truth. Conan was stunned at first, and then became confused. Xiaolan was confused at first, but when she saw Conan's expression, she quickly asked, Conan, do you understand what Eminem meant? Why is President Izo still dead? How do you know? I was thinking about last night's game. I finally reached the master level. Ha. Conan passed the test. Dad, it's true. You're sitting there and not talking. Xiaolan looked at Kagoro helplessly. Conan, what happened next was just as Miss Ayaka said. Halfway through Amu's words, the Hangzhou Police Department couldn't help but interrupt. But Mr. Rangzeo is still dead, because besides Salibi, there is another force related to time that has intervened. I actually did not mention one less thing before, which is not directly related to the case. In fact, the reason why I'm here is, one important reason is that I have a friend. At this time, Eminem said about Sakura's precognitive dream. At this time, there was no detailed mention of the Kuro card. It was only said that under a certain time force, that friend would have such a dream. That's it. Another entity that controls the power of time also wants to stop the case from happening, but its method is to make the dying victim say a word to his former self, or give him a message. I gave some hints at about the same time as Ayaka. Think about it. Besides Ayaka, President Izo was also late, right? You trying to say Hangzhou Police Department also understood a little at this time? I think everyone still has an impression at that time. It doesn't matter if you don't have it. Reporter Ashu and the others have video records. In fact, there was something wrong with President Rangzo at that time. I think he should have thought about confessing to Ayaka and asking her to forgive him, but in the end he chose another way, because he knew that even if he stopped Ayaka from killing him, she would definitely report the Moto Kanko for what she did, so he decided to get rid of it once and for all. Eminem said leisurely at this time, but then why did it happen in the end? Hangzhou Police Department asked everyone's doubts. That's right. It's my father who died. Stop talking nonsense. Beyoze and others yelled angrily. Point at this time, Eminem just smiled slightly, looked at Beyoze and others and asked, I just looked at the investigation results of Junsha, the investigation of the Pokémon that President Izo carried before his death, and the investigation of the Pokémon he registered. After we went to the breeding house, we discovered that one of the missing Pokémon was the Squid King. Right, my father has a king squid, but do he carry it with him specifically? I guess that's a Squid King with penetration properties. Amu interrupted Hose and asked directly, no, that's right, penetration? Could it be that? Hengao Police Department also reacted at this time. That's it. Izo, who was already murderous, without saying a word, directly ordered the Squid King to use rock crash on the head of Miss Ayaka, who he thought was acting as his substitute. Exclamation mark. And the characteristic of penetration will cause the attack on the double to directly act on the main body, that is, Rangzeo himself. At this time, Eminem made the final testimony point, because Ayaka no longer had murderous intentions at the time and just wanted to expose Izo. The time to go to the viewing platform was not as fast as initially. Izo thought he was attacking Ayaka, but in fact he was just attacking his substitute, and because Rangzeo was too close to his stand at the time, and because of the penetration property, rock avalanche directly destroyed him. What? It was Rang who made himself, but the Squid King should also. Hengao Police Department stopped talking in the middle of the sentence. Normally, the damage caused by Pokémon to the trainer is minimal, because the deeper the bond, the smaller the damage. Characteristics such as rough skin will not hurt those close to them. However, when Hengao was halfway through questioning, he also came to his senses. The Squid King's character is inherently unstable, and the relationship between Rangzeo and his Pokémon is really bad. I believe everyone can see this. Eminem spread his hands at this time, otherwise his Pokémon wouldn't just leave after his death. But wait, then why is the body? Hengao Police Department was originally asking Amu, but as he spoke, he looked at Ayaka. Ayaka, on the other hand, looked relieved at this time. She couldn't hold on anymore, and fell to the ground and said, that's right. I was also very scared when I arrived. Izo died on the viewing platform but the stand-in on the statue's hand is still missing. I didn't know why this happened at the time, because I did make some preparations, and also contacted Asio and the others. As the first discoverer, if it is known that I'm dissatisfied with Rangzeo, I will investigate carefully and find out those preparations. If so, it would be too bad for me. Although I did think about it that way, it would be too unfair to be regarded as a murderer, even though I didn't kill anyone. So I moved Izo's body to the substitute position and wanted to end it like this. I'm really sorry. Only then did Ayaka truly and completely tell the truth. Conan thought carefully for a long time and found that there was indeed nothing wrong with Eminem's reasoning point, and since the reasoning has been reached to this point, then as long as we investigate the situation of Izo's Squid King and try to search for the departing Squid King nearby, we can get either indirect or direct evidence. On Liar Friend's precognitive dream is also related to the power of time. This about the predictive dream thing. Hengao Police Department looked at Eminem in embarrassment at this time. Although he said so much, the premise is, I will suggest my friend to submit an explanation to the league's top management regarding this matter. The Hengao Police Department can rest assured that it will be adopted directly at that time. Eminem said. Anyway, it is impossible to completely hide the matter of Kuro card from everyone. It is okay if a certain range of Alliance executives know about it. So, President Rangzeo is committing suicide? Hengao Police Department looked strange, while also instructing his subordinates to search for evidence in a targeted manner. I believe that, even if no direct evidence can be found, some related indirect evidence can be found. No, I just asked a lawyer friend of mine. Ms. Ayaka wanted to kill someone and was prepared to commit murder, but in the end she gave up the original plan because of her own will, so it is considered a crime cessation, and Izo as he carried out the killing with the purpose of killing and indeed caused the death of someone. It is considered an intentional homicide, but he just happened to kill himself by mistake. Eminem emphasized. But Miss Ayaka still has to come with us. We still need to talk about the destruction of the scene. The Hangzhou Police Department said to Ayaka with a straight face at this time point. Eminem also did not forget to say to Ayaka, it seems that you still need to appear in court. After that, I can give you the contact information of that friend. Sneeze. Long Yi sneezed hard. Really? He must be overusing his brain. What is this guy doing? Eminem. Is this a brain teaser? Long Yi thought about what Eminem asked him just now and couldn't figure it out. This is what happened in reality. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 506 afterwards. Sure enough, it's all the fault of stupid humans. TSK. Amu looked at the Junshus vehicles, leaving with Izo's children and Ayaka. Both Celebi and Shuppei actually want to prevent tragedies from happening. On life. Eminem guessed correctly. There are no time ripples that naturally occur. Even Celebi cannot allow people to completely travel through time. It can only send back a sentence, or thought, etc. If you want to truly make people travel for others, to travel through time and space, they need the right time and the right place. At least that's the case for most celebs. The ability of Shuppei should be similar, even worse than the real Celebi. In comparison, Celebi is smarter and can see through people's hearts better. The way it chose was to make Ayaka, who is not bad in nature, give up the idea of killing. Maybe it also felt the consequences after killing. Ayaka was actually shaken inside one, and Shuppei's character is more direct. When you see someone being killed, let the person who is killed prepare in advance. The result is that this guy Izo, when he thought he was clear, instigated the Squid King with the penetration characteristic to use rock collapse on his stand. Eminem can imagine that his face. He gave the order ferociously, and the next moment, he was bleeding from the back of his head and collapsed. At the same time, after hearing Eminem's words, that's right. It's a waste of Celebi and Toki's good intentions. Sakura has been resurrected with full health. Since it is the dirty Sama's own problem, it has nothing to do with Kuro Card and Sakura. Sakura is not such a hard thinker. Eminem had guessed before that, based on Conan's reasoning, time power might be involved. So he went to Sakura and Zyok to confirm some things. For example, the cause of death that Sakura saw was indeed a knife in her heart. For example, Zyok also explained to Eminem that Toki Card has the ability to manipulate time. More importantly, just before Eminem made the final deduction, the little wolf wandering nearby had found the Shuppei and started a fight. Shuppei had no direct attack ability, but could immobilize the wolf. Finally, it was Sakura and Eminem who interrupted the 1, 2, 3 wooden man between Sioran and Toki. In the end, Sakura conquered Toki, and Eminem also learned about it from Toki. I once wanted to save Rangzeo. Just after the Shuppei was sealed, a sound of shishi was heard. I saw the real Celebi appear, and the Shuppei that had just been sealed into a card was also reincarnated at this time, flying together with Celebi, looking like one virtual and one real. Only Celebi plays together. It seems that they have met before, and they had a good time. At first, Eminem was not sure whether this was the Celebi he knew. The aura felt, it seemed stronger than the one he had seen thousands of years ago. Eminem didn't have much contact with Celebi at that time. Although he was called the Blesser, he wasn't very close. When at this moment, Celebi pounced directly on Eminem. Sakura and Tomoyo were also surprised. They thought that Eminem and Celebi were not familiar with each other before. But they didn't know that Eminem himself was also surprised. When did we have such a close relationship? Meet again. Eminem put his hand on Celebi's head. Big Bear, Tai. Celebi's consciousness passed over. Slim Shady? Who is Big Bear? Got the wrong person. But then Eminem also realized that it wasn't, that it recognized the wrong person. But it didn't recognize him as he is now. Just when Eminem wanted to ask more questions, Celebi seemed to be in a hurry and left in a hurry. It was precisely because Eminem confirmed that in addition to Shippei, there was also the real Celebi present, that he could deduce the full story of the incident. On the way back to Marion Town, Eminem also mentioned it to Sakura, and then reported the prophetic dream to the Alliance. As for the Clo card, it can be said or not about I definitely won't talk about Zouken. Sakura naturally had no objection. As for the cable car project for the Celebi Colossus, it may not be sustainable because of what happened. Although Celebi himself was indeed lifeless, and he was even curious about the imagination on his statue, and even went in to take a look at it. But not only was the scandal about the project exposed, but Rang Zao's death was too well deserved. Some point especially to reporters from Donghae Daily participated in the whole process, and it was impossible not to be exposed. Previously, Rang Zao and Baoze, the father and son, had deliberately plotted against Donghae Daily. It was impossible for them not to seize this ready opportunity for revenge. Not only this project, but also the entire Damoto Kanko was a devastating blow. President Izo tried to kill the exposer when Celebi wanted to save him, but ended up killing him instead. He is simply a standard way to die for a villain. When I see the newspaper tomorrow, I guess the signboard of Damoto Tourism will only have a negative value. By the way, where are you going from now on? Are you looking for that card? Yuanzi asked Eminem and others, pretending not to care. No, Kuro card will naturally follow Sakura's footsteps. We will still focus on travel training, and then we are going to Yanmo City. Eminem replied. When he arrived in Yanmo City, Eminem was also ready to take the motorcycle lizard riding certificate test. Yanmo City is located in the basin. It is one of the 8 major cities in the Chengdu region and the only major city in the eastern mountains. Where are you? Amu also asked Yuanzi. We just came out of Yanmo City. Yuanzi emphasized at this time, obviously feeling that he wanted to go back, which seemed a little strange. Xiaolan curled her lips at the side, and then said, by the way, in a few days, Yi Heping and the others will also come to the Chengdu area for fun, and they seem to be going to Yanmo City. Yuanzi, we will go to Ruohu in the next few days. How about taking a walk around Yuzen and looking for He in a few days? Ah. Okay. Yuanzi agreed immediately. Slim Shady, good guy. Heiji is coming too. It really is. You need to be prepared. But maybe this is a reason why Eminem actually defeated Conan in reasoning this time. Suddenly he became less afraid of cases. Well, no matter how many objective reasons are emphasized, in short, it was Ammo who deduced the truth first, then Conan this time. Eminem also noticed that Conan was secretly looking at him along the way, with a very troubled expression on his face. He was probably unwilling to do so, right? In addition, Zio AI's mood was not quite right. Others thought she was frightened. However, Eminem believed that just the murder case should not frighten her. What exactly happened? Eminem planned to go back and ask. Chapter 507 Boss. After returning to the Pokémon Center, when they were about to leave, Conan specifically called out to Eminem to use the restroom. Hey. Conan looked a little awkward. Huh? Is there anything else? Amu asked curiously. This time, thank you. Conan hesitated again and again, but finally said it. Although he did not identify Ayaka as a culprit, he just deduced the circumstances found. But without Eminem, Ayaka might have been convicted in court. Conan, no, I should say Shinichi. Although his eyes are higher than his head, he actually cares about these things. Eminem is closer to the truth than him. Although he is not convinced emotionally, he is grateful to Eminem intellectually. What you think is the truth may not be the truth, and may also cause innocent people to get hurt. I hope you will realize this in the future, Eminem said, rubbing his dog's head seriously. Then Eminem hurriedly followed Zio AI, who was about to walk back to the room. What's wrong? Did you feel anything during the day? Eminem entered the room and asked Zio AI in a low voice. He also doubted whether Zio AI felt the aura of the dark organization, but if he thought about it carefully, if this was the case, Zio AI would definitely tell him immediately and follow him closely. Nothing. ZOAI looked tired. Seeing that Eminem still looked worried, and then thinking about the giant dragon and the little lightning bird. ZOAI sighed and confided in a low voice, "Black mist, huh?" Eminem didn't hear clearly. Black mist. The black mist in the tunnel before was probably used by the crow leader. ZOAI told the truth. Crow chief. Indeed. Amu recalled that in Junsha's investigation records, it was indeed suspected that the Gairang Zao had a crow chief. In fact, the Pokémon he carried has never been confirmed because more than one of his Pokémon left him, so the fostering house didn't know which of the missing Pokémon were following him. Which ones have already defected. He should have only carried 3 Pokémon with him at that time, but there were more than a dozen that were not in the breeding house, and most of them left him. Among the 3 he carried, it was certain that one was a motor lizard and the other was a Pokémon Squid King. Now it seems that the third one is the crow leader. That's really just right. Although Crow Chief does not have ice attributes, he can learn both Black Mist and Frozen Wind. Black Mist in the tunnel and anti-motorcycle lizard on the statue. Ice surface has its origin. Wait, what happened to the crow leader? Could it be? Amu didn't believe that ZOAI was afraid of crows, but then Eminem suddenly thought of, in the original work, the Dark Organization is also called the Crow Legion, because not only do their members like to wear black clothes like crows, but the contact number of the leader of the organization is also the rhythm of crow's song. Eminem even heard that its leader was a guy named Karasuma and I, but Eminem didn't see Conan too far behind, and he wasn't sure about this statement. And there is no celebrity named Karasuma and I in this world. Seeing Amu's reaction, ZOAI understood that he had roughly guessed it, so he nodded and said, yes, in the Dark Organization, some high-level officials use the Crow Leader, and he is their boss. It's the Crow Leader, the ace. Eminem asked. Speaking of the famous villain with Crow Chief as his trump card, that is Team Galaxy's Zachary. This was not something Eminem knew before his time travel, but because of the special nature of Galaxy Team and Cherry's information being relatively transparent, Eminem learned it directly after his time travel. I don't know, but I have seen there is a crow leader who usually follows the boss. ZOAI has obviously seen the boss. However, if he is just following me, it cannot prove that he is an ace, and it may just be a favorite pet, such as Sakaki's cat boss. Of course, what I met today was definitely not the boss crow leader. It was because I was too nervous. ZOAI admitted. It seems that this is also part of ZOAI's Dark Organization PTSD. Not only is she sensitive to people from the Dark Organization, but she is also very sensitive to crow-type Pokémon. Who is the boss of the Dark Organization? I mean, does he have any apparent social identity? Eminem couldn't help but ask. ZOAI has always avoided this kind of problem before. She doesn't want herself or Eminem to attract too much attention from the organization. She just wants to recover her body and cure her sister without being discovered by the organization at all. Eminem had never forced her to say anything before. But this time the topic just happened to reach this point. After Eminem asked, ZOAI was silent for a while, and Eminem did not urge her at this time point. If ZOAI has enough trust in Eminem during this period of time, mainly in terms of strength, she will naturally reveal something. Then ZOAI shook his head. Just when Eminem was disappointed, ZOAI said, actually, I don't know much. I don't even know if he is a person. Hearing what ZOAI meant, Eminem couldn't help but ask, is it a person? This meant a lot. Well, the history of the Dark Organization is actually longer than that of Team Flare. It was the Dark Organization that cooperated with Team Flare and then eventually controlled Team Flare. It is not accurate to say that it is a department of Team Flare. The original Dark Organization was associated with many ancient kingdoms during the establishment of the Alliance. Many of the heavy casualty battles between the Alliance and the ancient kingdoms were all related to the Dark Organization. The Hydra that makes everyone talk about it. The Dark Lord that makes the wizarding world dare not call him by his name. The Space Demon Keef that makes the Alliance have to awaken the Sky God Rayquaza to fight. The Moon God Luna, the Dark Kingdoms that Yara fell into slumber were all his allies. I guess many of them should be remnants of the ancient kingdom, and according to them, their boss has always been the same person. However, humans should not be able to live for such a long time, or maybe they are bluffing. Or maybe he was deceived by boss, Slim Shady. Eminem understands that Zio AI simply wants to know how powerful he is, but this was the first time Eminem knew that Rayquaza was actively awakened by the Alliance, but Chief, Hydra, Dark Lord, etc. are familiar to Eminem. You don't know what I'm talking about, right? Zio AI deliberately taunted Eminem to liven up the atmosphere. What is the Kingdom of Darkness? Eminem felt a little familiar, but the name was so bad that he couldn't deal with it for the moment. Actually, I don't know. It seems to be that there was a civilization on the moon, and it also had its own Pokémon ecology. However, during the war between the Alliance and the Old Kingdom, the Kingdom of the Moon was also attacked by the Kingdom of Darkness, and eventually both perished. Zio AI still knows some secrets. Moon Kingdom? Eminem felt that this word appeared together with Dark Kingdom, and he gradually became familiar with it. Well, it is said that it was also very powerful back then, no less powerful than any current alliance. The great heaven-leaking trainers among them would use the names of planets as their code names. Will you still wear a sailor uniform? Eminem replied quickly. Zio AI looked perverted. You don't understand. I guess you are right, Eminem said confidently. Chapter 508 Leader, Alliance November 1st, 200. Demoto Tourism. On the second day of the new project operation ceremony, early in the morning, Eminem saw the front page headlines in the newspaper and the relevant news pushed by the app during breakfast. Not only was Izo's death clearly explained, but the dirty information about Demoto Kanko was also revealed. Yasunori probably didn't have time to be happy that he became the new president. Just solving these messes would be enough. Lost half his life point of course. Eminem was also mentioned in the news. Although it was not mentioned directly, Eminem was emphasized in his words as Saliba's well-wisher point, and Eminem's ability to solve the case is naturally regarded as a sign of a certain tacit understanding with Salibi point. This makes Eminem very unhappy. Why can't you just praise my reasoning ability? Eminem commented angrily on the Donghae Daily Report while eating breakfast, writing, "It this way will make it more interesting and more powerful, right?" Yuanzi looked at him in confusion. Obviously, in the eyes of people in this world, relationship with Rabbi is much more important than strong reasoning ability. Really? Amu looked at Xiaolan pretending to be confused. Yuanzi is right. Xiaolan also wondered what Eminem was wondering about. Would Shinichi be unhappy if he heard what you said? Amu said, looking at Conan, who was staring at him with dead fish eyes. Conan. Xiaolan, ignoring Eminem's childish illness, he quickly finished the last free breakfast. Today, Yuanzi and others also said goodbye to Eminem and his group, and embarked on a new journey. Depart from Million Town and head to the Smoke City deep in the mountains, and in the basin. It is expected to arrive on November 6th, 7th, and 8th. The specific time, of course, cannot be determined. After all, we don't know what will happen on the road. If there is a suitable Pokémon, I will definitely pursue it. If I find the Clo card, I will definitely seal it. Kazuha and Hiji will arrive in Yanmo City on the 8th. Sonoko and I. While Xiaolan was talking, Yuanzi rushed to say, then let's go there on the 8th. After all, we just left Yanmo City, so there is no need to go again so soon. Hahaha, well, we should still be able to see you then. Amu nodded. When leaving Marion Town, Eminem noticed that Sakura was still a little lackluster and asked specifically, what's wrong? Isn't it a dream? Oh, I did have a dream, but it shouldn't be a prophetic dream. Sakura was still in a daze when she heard Eminem calling her, and then said sheepishly, since Sakura has already said this, Eminem doesn't have much time to ask what girls dream about. That night, the four of Amu arrived at the camping spot because they were not far from the main road. When Amu and others arrived, two groups of people were already here. The eastern mountainous area is vast and sparsely populated. But, precisely because the mountainous area is so complex, there is only one road in the entire mountainous area, and the others lead to deep mountains and old forests. So if you don't leave the main road, you will easily encounter other traveling trainers. Originally, Eminem thought that someone would challenge him at this time. After all, Trainers like to fight when they meet in the wild point, but the situation was a little different. At this time, I saw them gathering around and talking about something. When the four of them saw Eminem coming over, the other party greeted them specially and reminded them not to go in the direction of the lion bear forest in the future. Huh? Why? Amu looked at the young trainer who called himself Xiaosang in confusion point. Although Loop Bear is usually a dangerous Pokémon, in the Quartz League, the number of incidents of Loop Bear hurting people is second only to Big Sting Bee, but according to what this Komatsu means, it seems to be especially dangerous now. The danger is not as simple as usual. Point before Xiaosang could answer, a voice came from behind Eminem, because a ring bear suspected of being an overlord appeared. The voice sounded familiar to Eminem, so he turned around and saw that it was indeed the ranger Hinata with a blue ponytail that subtly revealed her absolute domain. Are you the ranger here to deal with it? Komatsu recognized the badge worn on Hinata's left sleeve, which was the symbol of a member of the Rangers Association. Yes, did you witness it too? Hinata asked Komatsu. Point hearing this, Xiaosang said sheepishly, No, I found unusual footprints. Remembering what the previous traveler said, I hurried back. Although he acted very embarrassed, Hinata affirmed, your judgment is very correct. When encountering a situation that cannot be solved, it is the right decision to temporarily retreat and rescue others. The place where you found the footprints is on what position? I can take you there, Xiaosang said with force. No, you can just point it out on the map, Hinata said, showing him the detailed map of hunting cursor. Point it seems that this thing, in addition to increasing the ranger's telepathy ability, also has the function of an electronic product similar to an illustrated book. Point after Xiaosang pointed out the location, Amu asked doubtfully, the overlord Pokémon? What's going on? Isn't that only found in the Alala region? Is it the boss Pokémon? It's a Pokémon that is much larger than a normal individual and much more powerful, and is somewhat similar to the ancient boss Pokémon. Point however, now in major alliances, boss Pokémon are rarely found, and the overlord Pokémon is only found in Alala. No, as for the boss Pokémon, it should be even more impossible. It was obviously checked not long ago. Hinata muttered at this time, check? Amu seemed to realize something when he heard this. Well, the main daily job of our Ranger Association is to check for boss Pokémon. Once discovered, we will immediately guide them to the appropriate place. If we find wild Pokémon that may grow into boss Pokémon, we will also guide them not to go in the direction of the leader, Hinata said at this time. Point seeing that Eminem didn't understand, Hinata explained, boss Pokémon are actually Pokémon that have exceeded level 100. Generally speaking, they will not appear when trainers train Pokémon. They all tend to make breakthroughs in attributes, skills, and characteristics, but this happens to very few wild Pokémon. Once you break through level 100, it will not only be a matter of increasing your strength, but also the consumption of resources will increase sharply. For the sake of environmental balance, the main responsibility of our rangers is to reduce the birth of bosses and guide the bosses that have already been born. Go to some resource-rich places and control them to break further in the wrong direction. Generally speaking, they won't explain these things like ordinary trainers. After all, what if someone trains like this specifically? However, Hinata felt that Eminem was born to be a ranger, so she did not hide from him that this was the main responsibility of a ranger, and Eminem understood a lot at this moment. Well, the boss Pokémon is big and eats a lot, which puts extra pressure on the environment. So, Leocat, what level are you at now? Snoring. Chapter 509. Very big. Leocat pretended to be asleep and once again turned a blind eye to Eminem's problem. Point, but Eminem has basically determined the old card should essentially be the boss Pokémon. It's just that it's far more than just breaking through level 100. It's no wonder that the current natural environment can't accommodate it at all. Point Eminem estimates Leocat at least lived in ancient times. The environment at that time should be much stronger than now, so Leocat was born. Point as for the mystery of the rapid disappearance of the boss Pokémon after the Alliance era, Eminem has also understood that it is the result of deliberate control by the Alliance, or humans. The Rangers Association is a world organization across alliances, but generally all major alliances will cooperate with them. It is also very likely that there is also the will of the mythical beasts, because the Rangers are originally closely related to various mythical beasts after all. The role of the Ranger is to protect the environment, which is in the interests of everyone. Although Aoka didn't say it, Eminem suspected that the environment in ancient times was destroyed by being eaten by the boss Pokémon, so the environment was significantly downgraded. Now, the woodland bear forest is not an inaccessible place. It was searched not long ago. It is impossible for a boss Pokémon to be born. As for the Overlord Pokémon, it is not very likely. Maybe it is just a mutation? Hinata also said at this time some doubts. What's the difference between Overlord Pokémon and boss Pokémon? Are they only available in Alola? Seeing that the Ranger knew these things well, Eminem asked for advice. Well, the Overlord Pokémon is also very big, but essentially it has not exceeded level 100. That is, it has not exceeded the growth limit, but the individual correction rate is extremely high. It is said that it is only found in Alola, but that is actually not accurate. Overlord Pokémon was born under a special magnetic field. However, this kind of magnetic field is only found in the Alola region, just like it is only found in the Galar region. Only then did I realize there was something like a Gigantamax energy pit. But, in theory, if there is such a magnetic field in other areas, it is not impossible for Overlord Pokémon to appear. After all, the principle of generating this magnetic field is not yet clear. Hinata said at this time. Eminem understood clearly after hearing this. In fact, it is not only the magnetic field where the Overlord Pokémon was born, but people still don't know enough about the Dynamax field. But Eminem knows that the Dynamax force field is most likely caused by the power of Wujitana. From this point of view, the dynamic force field should not appear outside the Galar region. There is Gigantamax energy in the Dynamax force field. As long as the trainer uses a special device to guide it, his own Pokémon can temporarily use this energy to cause the phenomenon of Gigantamax, just like Mega Evolution. Therefore, in Galar, official gyms and some professional battle venues will specially create this kind of force field. However, it has not been successfully constructed outside of Galar. After all, its source Wujitana fell asleep in Galar in the wilds of Galar. If there is this kind of energy, wild Pokémon can also Gigantamax after certain conditions are met. In essence, Gigantamax is not a power controlled by the Pokémon itself, but with the help of external forces. Its increase is the same as Mega Evolution, which is only temporary. The special magnetic field that catalyzes the birth of the Overlord Pokémon is different. It actually increases the Pokémon's individual correction rate. Generally speaking, a special magnetic field can only provide the birth of one Overlord. Overlord not only greatly increases the individual correction rate and becomes more powerful, but also smarter. But if there was such a magnetic field in the Loop Bear Forest, the Rangers would have discovered it long ago. Could that be an Overlord who was born elsewhere and later came to the Forest of Circle Bears? Amu asked speculatively. Impossible. Although the Overlord Pokémon is not like the boss Pokémon and consumes a lot of environmental resources, it also has the weakness of being unable to leave the Overlord's magnetic field. Otherwise it will weaken quickly. Hinata shook her head. Therefore, when the boss Pokémon is found, the Rangers will guide them to leave their original environment and prevent them from further breaking through the level or growth rate, while the Overlord Pokémon does not matter, but is conducive to ecological stability. When you say getting bigger, you mean a big circle bear? Sakura asked weakly at this time. Huh? Yes, what's wrong? Hinata looked at Sakura in confusion. Is there anything difficult to understand? Then, I seem to be dreaming about it, Zioing said nonchalantly, and then seeing Eminem looking over, she immediately explained. I often dream about playing with dolls. And when I dream about the big bear, nothing dangerous happens. So. Sakura thought it was just an ordinary dream at first. Hinata still didn't understand at this time. What does dreaming mean? Happened to dream about it, and Eminem was slightly distracted. Big bear. Celebi also called himself this before. Could it be that, when I was in sequence 5, I chose a druid that my mother passed by? so you can turn into a bear. But Eminem soon came to his senses and explained to Hinata, Sakura has the ability to predict dreams. In the Pokémon world, although this is rare, it is very scientific. There are many people with the ability to predict things, such as the most famous one, Gujiho. Hinata's eyes lit up when he heard this and said, that's great. Did you see any other details in the dream? It was a place with many flowers, and there were many huge ring bears and baby bears. Sakura recalled at this time point, just because it was a beautiful place and there were many cute baby bears, Sakura thought it was just an ordinary dream. Although Circle Bear has a bad temper and is unfriendly to humans and other Pokémon, it is very patient with baby bears, so the scene in Sakura's dream is very harmonious. A lot of huge ones. Hinata frowned, realizing that things were not simple point, but Sakura and Eminem had already realized it. It was a big name. It should be the power of big names that affects the Circle Bear group here point. Although there is no bigger skill, it is true that big name will make things bigger. Let's go look for it with you. Amu offered point. Hyuga's ranger ability is also very useful when searching in the wild. Eminem has no intention of deliberately acting alone. That's great. But let's rest tonight. If you get close at night, the Circle Bears will be more aggressive, so we'd better wait until dawn. Hinata said point. Judging from the ingredients in Ice Rotom, it doesn't matter if there is more for one person, and Tomoyo once again showed off his skills in the evening point. After dawn, Hinata took the initiative to lead the way. She knew a place with a sea of flowers in the forest, not far from the huge footprints marked by Komatsu. Chapter 510 Little Bad Bear. Alliance November 2nd, 200. Morning point. Together with Hinata, Eminem and his party entered the Lion Bear Forest and headed towards the Sea of Flowers. As the name suggests, the top bear forest is the habitat of the tub bears and baby bears. Travelers usually avoid this place unless they want to tame the baby bears point. After all, Loop Bear itself is a violent Pokémon. In the southern part of the Xianguan continent, it is the runner-up in incidents of wild Pokémon hurting people, and, where there are many Loop Bears, the championship winner Big Needle. There must be many, because in the southern part of the Xianguan continent, in addition to being friendly to the baby bears, the most patient target of the violent Loop Bear is the Big Needle Bee. If it were in the northern Sinnoh region, it would be its 3 bees point. The reason is very simple. The ring bear family loves to eat sweetness. This is honey that only bee Pokémon can brew, and ordinary bees cannot brew it point. If a ring bear is usually caught stealing honey, even if it is attacked by a big needle bee, it will only leave because of its rough skin and thick flesh, and will not attack the big needle bee point. After all, if there were no giant needle bees, there would be no honey to eat. Therefore, in the forest of ringed bears, in addition to ringed bears, there are also many giant needle bees. At this time, Eminem and others went to the Bear Mountain hike for the big name and to solve the giant Pokémon incident point. Because of the habit of the ring bear family, Eminem also prepared a special Shianshin. Not only does it have a better ability to attract trap bears and baby bears, but it also has a certain calming effect, which can create opportunities for Eminem to use animal sense. It's not just for today. But Eminem was already prepared. Not only the Pokémon family were the Pokémon that Eminem planned to conquer. Wait a minute. ZioAI suddenly said with an ugly expression. What's wrong? When Eminem saw ZioAI's expression, he couldn't help but feel a shiver in his heart. Could it be that he sensed their aura? I want to make it easier. ZioAI immediately tilted her head in embarrassment. Slim Shady. Ah, that's great. I'll go with you. Sakura responded immediately, her impatient tone clearly indicating that she had been patient for a long time. I'll go too, and I'll handle it later. Hinata said seriously. Well, considering that there are a large number of circling bears nearby, it does need to be dealt with, otherwise the smell may attract the attention of the circling bears. Especially, it will be regarded as occupying territory, which will trigger circling bears' bear hostility. But as a ranger, Hinata brought some odor eliminating things with her. Tomoyo stayed behind to accompany his mother to watch the wind. Beowoo. Huh. There is a sound. Eminem quickly made a silence gesture. I saw the bushes shaking in the direction ZioAI and the others left, and then ZioAI appeared holding a baby bear. This is Amu looked at ZOAI doubtfully. I don't know. We were just about to relieve ourselves when it came out. Please help keep an eye on it. ZOAI said, and raised the cooked bear in front of Eminem, a mere 10 pounds and a big orange. Just the weight point. Although it was just a Pokémon, ZOAI didn't want to be watched. After handing it to Eminem, he turned around and left point. Upon seeing this, Eminem took it over and saw that the little bear was orange-brown all over, with a light yellow crescent pattern on its head. It was a standard baby bear. Bayo. Woo. Bayo woo. After seeing Eminem, the baby bear also came up to him and extended his sticky-looking bear paw to Eminem. Ah. Is it very friendly to you? Tomoyo said, slightly surprised. Tomoyo, who has always had good grades, certainly knows this knowledge. Baby bear will absorb sweetness in the bear's paw, making it easier for him to lick it. If it is willing to show you its bare paws, it means it is willing to share sweetness. Although baby bears are not as violent as ring bears and they look cute, they are not so affectionate and usually stay away from people when they see them. After all, my temperament is still very attractive to Pokémon, Eminem said with his head held high. Then Eminem touched its head and said, I don't eat Shianshin. It's a bit too sweet for me. Wait until I give it to you. Eminem was about to get some snacks made of tree fruits for this cute little bear, but animal sense also took effect at this time. HMPH. Stupid humans, bow down to my cuteness. Let me give you something sweet first. Well, there should be food in that bag. Wait until no one is around. Hehe. Slim Shady. This kid. Eminem changed his position and lifted the baby bear up by the back of his neck to a position where he was eye level with him. Baby bear suddenly felt that his plan seemed to have been seen through by this human being, and he couldn't help but sweat dripping from his head. Huh? What's wrong? Chais noticed that Eminem's attitude suddenly changed. At this time, Bo, I saw RPO, the shuttlecock flower that Eminem had released before, floating back while exclaiming, although shuttlecock flower cannot carry people on board, it can fly completely in the air by itself. Generally speaking, shuttlecock flower cannot determine its own flight direction and can only rely on the power of the wind. However, Eminem's PO has learned follow the wind before, so although it is not as flexible as flying with wings, it can still use tailwind to change direction. After all, tailwind essentially causes a wind force to wrap around the body. It is not easy for shuttlecock flower to learn tailwind, although it is also a flying type. Generally, tailwind is exclusive to the bird type of the flying type. Shuttlecock cotton family, floating bubble, flower therapy, earring ring, wind ball, and wind fairy are the only 3 Pokémon that do not have wings, but also have the tailwind gene segment. Note 1, it's just that the latter 2 can be mastered naturally with growth, while the first 3 have no wings and have to learn tailwind by themselves, so they are particularly difficult to activate. However, Eminem had already learned tailwind from the wind card, and then with the help of animal sense, he taught it to PO without any problems. Otherwise, I don't know how long it would take to learn it. After entering the Loop Bear Forest, Eminem let it scout from the air. Although there are 2 hot-tempered Pokémon in the Top Bear Forest, Top Bear can't fly, and Spirit Bear is very friendly to plant-type Pokémon, especially flower-type Pokémon. It is true that insect-type restrains grass-type, but insects are different from insects. The bee-type Pokémon and the insect-type often have a high tolerance for plant-type Pokémon, because they and plants are mutually beneficial and symbiotic. Cannot be considered only in terms of insect-type. In natural ecology, the type of Pokémon is more important than its attributes. What's wrong? Chais also heard that APO's voice was urgent, and asked Amu quickly. Zaro, AI and the others were attacked. Amu immediately understood what APO meant. Originally, Eminem put down the little bad bear in his hand directly and had no time to pay attention to it, but at this moment, he suddenly felt its thoughts. Oops, over there, could it be that the honey I stole was discovered? Eminem grabbed it again and decided to take it with him. Note 1. Some wingless mythical beasts can also be learned, but mythical beasts are not considered in the setting of this article, and humans do not know the skill pool of mythical beasts. In addition, the shuttlecock family is indeed the 9th generation, and has just begun to learn Tailwind. It is indeed the first time that the Tailwind skill machine is given to a wingless Pokémon, so this book is set to be very difficult. Master P.S. I'm going to review Daju today, and remove the sutures. The 3rd chapter will be later. Chapter 511 No Trace. When Eminem rushed over, he found that Hinata had solved the crisis. Hinata was using the hunting cursor to communicate with the 2 circle bears. The circle bear, which has always been represented as difficult to communicate, was now sitting cross-legged on the ground, saying something go with Hinata drawing circles with an antenna, and comforting him with words. Go, at this moment, when they saw Eminem holding the baby bear over, the 2 ring bears suddenly became furious, and looked like they were about to pounce on them. Put down the baby bear quickly. Hinata reminded quickly. She also didn't understand how Eminem could make such a low-level mistake. If he endangered the safety of the baby bear in front of the ring bear, he would definitely. No, I don't think that's the reason, Eminem said, and already let go. But this baby bear not only did not come down, but instead hugged Eminem's arm and crawled behind Eminem, hiding from the 2 circling bears. Even with Hinata on the side to communicate and comfort, the 2 circle bears still showed obvious hostility. And this time Hinata also saw that the target of their hostility was not Eminem, who was holding the baby bear, but the baby bear itself. What's going on? Hinata didn't understand why this happened. It is said that the circle bear has a high level of tolerance for the baby bear. Pokémon is also an individual after all, and its actions cannot be completely summarized by habits. Eminem understands this very well. At the same time, Eminem said as he pulled the baby bear off his back, ignoring its struggle, and placed it in front of the 2 loot bears. Okay, apologize properly, and then hand over the Chianshan you stole. Eminem urged. Obviously, everyone stole it. Baby bear was timid, but still unconvinced. Well, that's right. The honey is not collected by bears, but stolen by everyone from the big needle bee. Only generally, baby bears or ring bears will not steal from the same kind without restraint. This is not the first time that this baby bear has done something wrong. At the beginning, the circle bear was too lazy to argue with it. The other baby bears were stolen, so they cried loudly. After that, the other circle bear came over to coax. But if it happens too many times, this little guy will be beaten. At this time, it saw that it was putting on a pitiful look, and the humans next to it did not help, so it had to dig out the tree hole where it had hidden the stolen Chianshan. Seeing 2 circle bears, he still wanted to beat them up, because Eminem thought he was sending them back. Here, I'll give this to you. For my sake, let's forget it this time, Eminem said, taking out 2 cans of refined Chianshan. After sniffing it, the circle bear was really interested, and showed some faint happiness and satisfaction. Hinata originally wanted to stop it, but when she saw this scene, she also felt relieved. Amid doubts, it stands to reason, using sweet and sweet to lure circling bears is also a taboo behavior. Sweetness can be used to lure Pokémon who like this, but when the ring bear is lured, it will be even more irritable. However, Eminem's sweetness is obviously different. After Loot Bear smelled it, it became easier to communicate. By the way, do you have any clues about the giant circle bear? Amu said and looked at Hinata. She should have asked these 2 circle bears. I don't know. They said they haven't seen it before. It's strange. There were 2 sightings recorded in one day. What Sakura dreamed about was also several trap bears and baby bears, right? How could she not find them? Hinata was also puzzled. It is said that if it is a boss Pokémon or an overlord Pokémon, it should have a strong sense of presence and directly become the leader of the same kind around it. It can even lead Pokémon, including non-kind Pokémon, and become the king of beasts, even if it is not the leader or the overlord, but other reasons or mutations. The other circle bears around should know about it, right? Let's look for it again. Eminem also understood Hinata's doubts, and could only wonder in his heart Could it be that big name works intermittently? Afterwards, before going to the Sea of Flowers, Hinata took a slight detour and went to the location where the huge footprints were discovered not long ago. Along the way, Eminem discovered that the little bad bear was still following him, although it looked on guard and used trees to cover itself. But it obviously couldn't prevent Eminem from discovering it. Hey, stop trying to steal food from us, or I'll send you to other pen bears. And it's useless to steal. Our food is all in rotten. Eminem reminded helplessly. What are you looking for? Baby Bear has also discovered that Eminem can communicate with him. You know about the giant ring bear? Eminem asked back, but even if it said it knew, Eminem would only half believe it at best. Eminem said, and also brought some Mother's Majesty, which made Baby Bear, who was originally trying to cheat for food and drink, became nervous. The lie that was on his lips did not come out, but, no, I don't know, give me sweet words. I can make them up for you now. The baby bear dared not lie, but at the same time he still stubbornly wanted to cheat and drink. Slim Shady. Well, after not lying, it turns into stupid words. By the way, when did the two witnesses see it? Amu asked Hinata at this time, wondering if there was a haunting time. The night before and the night before yesterday. Hinata replied, it's all at night. Eminem discovered the commonality. Sakura also said at this time, what I dreamed about was also under the moonlight. The Zyada-san who saw the footprints only saw it when it got dark yesterday, right? Could it be that he really only came out at night? Amu wondered, but you should be able to see the footprints. But here, Hinata said, pushing aside the bushes and looking at the footprints below. A lot of footprints have been found, but they are just ordinary footprints. The haunting time may be at night, but you can't just clean up the traces after the haunting time has passed, right? Let's go to the direction of the Sea of Flowers and take a look first. Spray with insect repellent first. There are a lot of giant needle bees there, but they are more susceptible to stress than the ring bears. Hinata said, continuing to lead the way in the direction of the Sea of Flowers. Seeing that they were about to reach the Sea of Flowers, the little bad bear still followed reluctantly, but he was obviously a little scared, while Sakura looked around, gradually showing a confused look. Chapter 512 Size. As he walked, Eminem noticed that the trees nearby were much slender. After asking Hinata, he found out that there was a fire nearby more than 10 years ago. In the Pokémon world, forest fires are relatively easy to extinguish. After all, even if there are no water Pokémon in the wild, there are always Pokémon with water moves, although the water power condensed by the skill evaporates too quickly and cannot alleviate the drought. Extinguishing the fire is the same point, however, a piece of it will be burned to some extent, or even, because of the existence of fire skills, the probability of small fire is higher. The Sea of Flowers we are about to visit, including the current ring bear forest, is actually the product of that forest fire. It was the windy season. After that fire, dozens of tall trees and shrubs on the ground were burned. When the environmental space was freed up, a piece of shuttlecock grass and shuttlecock flower happened to float over with flower seeds. Later, because of the Sea of Flowers here, a large number of giant needle bees were attracted to settle. The sweet brew made by the giant needle bees attracted the nearby ring bears and baby bears. Hinata explained at this time point, even though the big needle bee looks more like a wasp among ordinary animals, it can also make honey. It's so magical. Although it was taught in biology class, this is indeed the first time I've seen it. Tomoyo sighed with emotion. But for another scumbag student, it was obvious that education through entertainment was of no use, as he seemed to be distracted all the time. Eminem noticed that Sakura seemed to have remembered something and quickly asked, what's wrong? Is there anything different around me from the dream? In the previous Celebi Colossus incident, the inconsistency between what Sakura saw in her dream and reality was the key to solving the case. I always feel that the painting style is different. Maybe it's just because it's daytime now? Sakura said after thinking for a while. Apparently Sakura only felt it vaguely and didn't realize what was different. At the same time, the little bad bear behind followed unwillingly. It's like a naughty child who just rolled around and asked his mother for a toy but was left where he was. At this time, he was embarrassed to follow, but reluctant to let go. Seeing that they were approaching the sea of flowers, Amu and others had already seen more than one big needle bee point bug type Pokémon usually evolve very quickly, especially Spirit. Although there are 3 stages of evolution, you can evolve to the final form at level 10. Its evolution itself is a normal growth process. Unlike those Pokémon that evolve at levels 40 or 50, in the wild state, most individuals will not survive their entire life. Will evolve. The baby bear is obviously scared. After all, the big needle bee is not friendly to the circle bear family. Upon seeing this, Eminem said wait a minute to Hinata, then turned back and asked the baby bear, the circle bear is obviously more powerful, right? How come you dare to go to the circle bear to steal sweetness, but you are afraid? Where's the giant needle bee? Who is scared? It's just a giant sting wasp. The little bad bear still said something, because you know that the ring bear won't really hurt you, right? Eminem said. The little bad bear bared his teeth in a fierce manner, but he could not refute. My special Shianshin is only for good children. You definitely can't do it now. Eminem said directly. After the little bad bear heard this, he originally wanted to act arrogant, but in the face of Eminem's majestic gaze, he lowered his head. But if you promise me to be a good child, I can give you a bottle in advance. Eminem gave a sweet date again. When the little bad bear heard this, his eyes immediately lit up, and he pretended to be cute. Instead, Eminem glared at her. I'm used to it. The little bad bear immediately took back this said. Afterwards, Eminem gave it a bottle of his own special sweetness. The little bad bear looked at Eminem nervously, as if hesitating whether there would be a trap. After revealing your true nature, you can still receive gifts. This is an unprecedented experience. This is not given to you for free. Remember what you promised me. Amu emphasized. The little bad bear immediately snatched it, and then he tested it out, and found that Eminem had no intention of grabbing it back, so he felt relieved. Then, come on. By the way, I've never seen a huge circle bear, but last night, I saw a dwarf. Little bad bear mentioned it to Eminem. Dwarf. Eminem was stunned when he heard this, and then quickly asked, what kind of dwarf? It's just what you humans look like, but small, shorter than me. The little bad bear heard this, and recalled it for a moment, before saying. Eminem looked at it. It was about 70 centimeters tall, which is considered tall among baby bears, but a human shorter than it. Suddenly, Eminem seemed to understand something, and quickly looked at Sakura and the others, and shouted, wait. Don't go any further yet. At this moment, I don't know if it alerted the other party, but I saw a sudden burst of light from the grass on the side. Eminem didn't even see what it was. It fell on Hinata first, and before she could take it out, using the hunting cursor to deal with it, the whole person has shrunk several times, and small spots of light were jumping around on Tomoyo and Sakura next to them. At the critical moment, Sakura had transformed the key into the sealing staff, but the target was too small, and Sakura still missed it. The next moment, Sakura and Tomoyo also shrank. Although he has not become as small as the other party, he still looks only about 40 centimeters, which is indeed shorter than the baby bear. Among the 4 people who were far away from Eminem, ZioAI became the tallest. I don't know if it's because ZioAI is very short to begin with, but the little bright spots don't seem to notice her at this time. Eminem quickly released all the Pokémon except Pio. When he heard what little bad bear said, Eminem reacted, it's not a big name. It's a small name. The sense of violation that Sakura realized was probably because the forest she saw in her dream was more old-fashioned than it is now, with towering trees surrounded by several people hugging each other. Because it's not that the circle bears and baby bears have grown bigger, but that they themselves have grown smaller. These 10-year-old trees have also grown in size. It's just that what Sakura dreamed about, like the people she witnessed twice, was at night, so the contrast is not strong. There are no big trees around, which can make people realize that something is wrong, and they will naturally think that the bear has grown in size. The other circle bears have not been reduced in size, so naturally no huge circle bears will be found. The same should be true for the huge footprints discovered From this point of view, this shrinking should be triggered when entering a certain range, and restored after leaving a certain range point. The trees around here are relatively small. After leaving the fire range, the trees will be larger. At night, you will not even find yourself getting smaller. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 513 Small Card. At this moment, Eminem saw Small Card showing off his power and directly transformed into 3 dwarfs and quickly released all the Pokémon except Flashpoint. As for Shen, unless you are really in danger, you will definitely not take action just because of this little thing. Shen and Claw Card have also fought before, but they couldn't touch each other's entity at all. They could only temporarily disperse them, making the opponent unable to use their abilities, and then wait for Sakura to seal it. This made Shen very frustrated feel. However, these have become trivial matters that are not worthy of my taking action. However, neither Leoben nor the small plane could hit this little bright spot at this time. The target was too small. Instead, it was hiding and getting closer to Eminem. Just when the little bright spot jumped over, Eminem was flexible enough to dodge, but he failed to catch the opponent. It is said that the small card has the earth attribute. Judging from the situation of the flower card, Eminem should be able to seal it directly, but small cards are obviously much more skinny than flower cards. Even its spirit is the image of a pixie. Maybe others will think pixie is cute, but Eminem can only see a skin in pixie. But the good news is, the opponent seems unable to shrink the Pokémon. What's going on? Chiyo exclaimed in rare surprise. At this moment, Eminem looked in the direction of Tomoyo and found the Rotom Brigade she released at this time were all small, almost like hidden cameras. Eminem discovered that Small Card had no interest in the Pokémon he released, or that he had no choice. But the Pokémon released by a person who has been smalled is also small. The space has become smaller. Leoka's voice passed into Eminem's heart like a murmur in his sleep. Space? After hearing this, Eminem suddenly thought about it. At the moment, this does not make the body shrink, nor does it make the body regress like App 9527, but it makes the space occupied by the target smaller, and releasing Pokémon from the Pokeball is also a kind of space teleportation, so the ones sent over also become smaller. Calm down. Getting smaller is also a positive effect. Amu first shouted to Hinata and the others doesn't count. Leoka's voice sounded directly in Eminem's heart. Slim Shady, pretend I didn't say it. Eminem immediately changed his words. The Pokémon's power will not weaken after it gets smaller. Sakura tried it at this time and found that her strength had also become smaller, and more importantly, the sealing staff had not become smaller. It looks like a child carrying a Zen staff. Well, the normal Pokémon skill small means that the space it occupies becomes smaller, but the power exerted does not change. It is a positive effect, but now Sakura and the others have become smaller in all aspects. Using the space effect on yourself will not change. Leoka's voice passed into Eminem's heart at this time point, and Small Card gets smaller when used by others, which is obviously a negative effect. Speaking of Leoka, are you secretly observing us looking for giant Pokémon? Eminem suddenly realized that Leoka originally disdained magic, but this time he was still quietly observing the outside world. It seems that Leoka actually cares about the previous boss. Hululu, but at this moment, there were many flapping sounds around. No, there was too much noise. Hinata's face tightened at this moment. She didn't have time to think about why she became smaller, so she quickly used the hunting cursor to communicate with the big needle B. But it obviously didn't go well. Oops, the range of hunting cursor seems to have been reduced. Hinata said helplessly. Without a distance buffer, Hinata could not effectively appease the big needle bees. The big needle bees rushed over at this time. After all, They had only shrunk to a quarter of their height and were still within the hostile range of the big needle bees. If it were really shrunk to the size of a bug, the giant needle wasp really wouldn't notice it. Fortunately, Leoban and the others were still normal at this time. I saw Leoban's pupil shells flashing for a while, and then the rock energy condensed a large number of falling rocks, which hit the first batch of big needle bees that flew over. Russell Shakarus, who was in his 30s, hit him with a rockfall. Although the power was dispersed, the giant needle bees that were hit still fell to the ground one after another, but another batch followed immediately. Pork. At this moment, the whole body of the small plane was flashing, and at the same time, the second batch of stingy bees flying up also flashed one after another, and then fell down, as if they were severely injured. It is the fairy type all attack move. Magic shine. No additional effects. Pure group attack. Shuttlecock at. This time, RPO's body continued to grow layers of cotton-like structures, and, under the downwind, winding around it, it continued to float out. The stuck big needle bee not only moved slowly, but even some start to be unable to fly. Cotton spores can reduce the speed of the group. Woo at. This time, Gungan was imitating the sound of an engine or the wind while he rolled up and knocked out the big needle bee that was dragged down by cotton spores. Hey. Ta. At this time, Harakristali continuously shot stinging needles formed by insect power from the sharp corners of his head. Missile needles. Although it was not a group attack, it was multiple attacks. At this time, under the control of Dali, completely in a strafing situation. As for resisting the big needle bee, the most effective one is a horse. Roar. I saw a horse opening its mouth and roaring, sound waves continuously washing towards the swarm. Although Ymar is usually mainly used as a mount, but, in terms of level and race value, Ymar is currently the strongest in Eminem's baby team. With a higher level and race value than Dali. Eminem's usual training of a horse is mainly based on physical strength and speed, so there is not much difference between physical attack and special attack. At this time, the general range special attack skill, Big Sound, is used. However, there are more and more big needle bees gathering around, and it is necessary to escape. But, Small Card is still around and has not been caught. Eminem now regrets that he brought Big Sound with him instead of Tation Pressure. Loud Sound, although it is a range attack, but only Tarzan overwhelms can restrain, get smaller. At this moment, Eminem suddenly remembered something and quickly commanded the little bad bear, that's right, use Tarzan Pressure. The little bad bear who was about to slip away was startled. Hurry up, I see your skills. Eminem urged. This use Tation Pressure. Eminem didn't say anything else, he just repeated the command again. Chapter 514. Little Bad Bear. Quick. The mountain is overwhelming. Bo. Woo. Under Eminem's urging, the little bad bear finally gritted his teeth and used Tarzan Pressure. The little bad bear seemed to be burning with invisible white flames all over his body, and then he was rolling on the ground while screaming. It seems like a naughty child is cheating, but in fact, this is indeed Tation overwhelming. Without a doubt, Eminem guessed that the little bad bear probably learned this trick from other circle bears. After get smaller, it will be difficult to hit it with general skills, and the power of large scale attack skills is dispersed. When it is used on a target that is too small, the power will inevitably be insufficient. This is also the main effect of get smaller. However, the crushing skills just restrain get smaller, not to mention those that look like crushing, such as Tarzan Crush, Crazy Rolling, and Trample. But also hidden ones such as Dragon Dive, Supernatural Power, and Stealth Attack. Rolling System. What they have in common is that the attack range is very large. After Tarzan Pressure is activated, it does not press down, but can roll around like the little bad bear now. The same is true for Dragon Dive and Supernatural Power. The attack area will spread at the same time, because the destructive power of the attack will only burst out when it comes into contact with the target. It is not like a range attack, which is too scattered for targets that are too small, just perfect for searching for small targets. Click. After a sound, the little bad bear seemed to have pressed against something, and a burst of invisible light and shadow scattered and regrouped in the air. It was a small card who had no direct combat ability and was directly crushed by Tarzan at this time, shattered as being reunited, but when Eminem stretched out his hand, he came into contact with the small card. Stop being naughty. Eminem scolded. Then I saw the light and shadow being reunited for a moment, and then disappeared on the spot, and a small card was condensed between Amu's fingers, as expected. It's the same as when flower cards were. Eminem can directly seal cards with earth attributes, but compared to the fairly obedient flower card, small card requires Eminem to catch it. Eminem estimates that Sakura holding the sealing staff is the same, and all cards can be conquered in this way. At the same time, the moment Eminem resealed small card, Sakura and others also returned to their original size, including Tomoyo's Pokémon. Use electromagnetic wave. Tomoyo ordered as he pulled Sakura back. Sakura originally wanted to fight, but seeing that Hinata was still nearby and that the big needle bees around her were already slowing down under the influence of the 4-layer electromagnetic wave, she did not take action and was pulled by Tomoyo. Walk. Then everyone escaped from the siege of the big needle bees, but oops, that little bear, Hinata exclaimed. Baby Bear's little short legs moved too slowly, and he was still about to be surrounded by the big needle bees. At the critical moment, Eminem directly took out the elf ball. Little bad bear, come with me. I haven't said it yet. Before the little bad bear could finish expressing his thoughts, he was already accepted by Eminem. Although the elf ball was still in place, and the giant needle bees were poking at the elf ball one after another, but because of the setting of Eminem's Pokeball, it will immediately fail as long as the distance is far enough, but when it fails, the Pokemon inside will be sent back to the storage location instead of popping out in place, and because Eminem has already filled 6 Pokeballs, he can directly teleport little bad bear out at this time, which is just a Pokeball point, so Eminem didn't insist on taking back the Pokeball and just evacuated with everyone. If you encounter a swarm of big needle bees in the wild, especially if there are more than one nest of giant needle bees around, even the king will have no better way than to escape. After escaping to a safe place, Sakura couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief and said, "Huh, is that baby bear okay? Hoo hoo hoo. It doesn't matter. The Pokeball is bound to, it's bound to Dr. Sakura's laboratory, a very powerful doctor in Kanto. Well, I'll pass by a place with a signal later. I'll send it back again." Eminem just copied out a Pokeball, and then he confirmed that it was a Pokeball bound to Dr. Sakuragi. Not too bad, at least Ghoststone and Pippi were there, and little bad bear wasn't any worse than Ghoststone and Pippi, right? Besides, Pokémon as big as Ghoststone and Pippi should be able to help take care of the little bad bear, right? Even if he doesn't trust them, Eminem at least believes that Dr. Sakuragi will take good care of them, right? In short, Eminem is very relieved. Originally, Eminem was not prepared to tame this little bad bear. After all, baby bear is not a rare Pokémon. Eminem can definitely choose the best one, especially if his qualifications are similar to those of the moon bear that evolved in recent times. Good point for baby bear. That means the speed is slower, the special defense is higher, but the little bad bear just now, in terms of individual correction rate, the special defense is not low, but the speed is a bit too fast. Of course, the evolution of the ancient form is relatively simpler for the Polygon Noah to simulate the environment. There are almost no obstacles, as long as the attributes are not outrageous, but the biggest problem with little bad bear is that it has grown to level 33. You know, normally, the circle bear evolves at level 30. Evolving late often means lack of potential or congenital defects. The most serious thing is that, like Ake, he always looks like Kathy. But now that he has been conquered, Eminem is still ready to train him. Just now, what was it? Eminem, was it taken away by you, right? Hinata couldn't help but ask at this time. Although she was very tired, Hinata would not ignore this easily. This Amu hesitated a little at this time point, but Sakura had sincerely said to Hinata at this time, "Sister Hinata, in this case, I won't hide it from you. In fact, I'm a magical girl, Hinata." Although it may sound strange at first, but, as a ranger, you are often exposed to mysterious things. Hinata quickly accepted the magical girl setting point. It's just that Sakura didn't explain the clue card in too much detail. She only vaguely said that it was a kind of magic tool that she was collecting and asked Hinata to help keep it secret. I see. Okay. I won't report your matter to the Rangers Association, but if I encounter similar things in the future, I will ask you for advice. Hinata agreed immediately. Yes, as long as I can, I will definitely help. Sakura agreed grandly. Chapter 515 time. Hey, Dr. Sakuragi, it's me, Eminem. Do you have a cold? On November 6th, when he finally arrived at the outskirts of Yanmo City, Eminem contacted the Sakuragi Research Institute and found out. Dr. Sakuragi, who was still young, sounded a little tired. A circle bear? Yes, I want to teleport back. No, just the baby bear. Ahem. One circle bear. Jenga and Pikaxi should still be taken care of by you. Okay. Eminem was also surprised. That little bad bear, it seems like you have evolved in the past few days. Eminem was also at a Pokémon convenience station in the suburbs at this time, so he teleported little bad bear over when I released it. I found that Hega, a super fierce looking ring bear appears. The few passers-by around him were also startled, and they felt relieved after finding that there was no sign of losing control point after all. Loop Bear is a famously violent Pokémon, and is prohibited from being released in many public places. Why did you evolve in the Research Institute? Amu also wondered. Originally, Eminem thought that it had some congenital defect, so it didn't evolve. Damn Jenga. Damn Pikaxi. What the hell place did you send me to? Circle Bear looks super fierce and can simply be described as ferocious, but when you speak, you are complaining. Slim Shady. At this time, Eminem touched its head, which was already slightly taller than him, to further confirm its condition, and then he understood one thing. It's very possible that this guy didn't evolve before, actually on purpose. Although in the wild environment, Pokémon rarely hold back and do not evolve. Only when trained by a trainer, there may be such a strategic growth plan, but theoretically, if a wild Pokémon wants to hold back stay, it doesn't mean that I can't hold it back. The little bad bear's growth level has not improved significantly in these 4 or 5 days. It is still at level 33, but it has evolved. That is to say, it hasn't evolved before, most likely on purpose. Generally speaking, wild Pokémon wouldn't do this, but that's not necessarily the case for little bad bear. Amu guessed that it might think that the baby bear appearance is more suitable for it, so that other people or bears can lower their guard point, and there are a lot of trap bears that don't like it. When it was a baby bear, it could be cute. If it evolved into a trap bear, it would probably be beaten 8 times a day, but at Dr. Sakuragi's place, Ghoststone and Peppy will not spoil it. As for getting through it with cuteness, just think about it. This trick is useless for both of them. Helplessly, the little bad bear can only evolve to protect itself. However, after evolving, I discovered that it still couldn't beat it. The gap was too big, and it couldn't be leveled by having a higher ace value point here. When Eminem was comforting the little bad bear and giving it 2 more sweet sweets, the car called by Tomoyo also arrived. The battle club in Yanmo City is quite close to the Pokémon Center. It's not bad. Eminem decided to go to train soon. Upon hearing this, Sakura handed Eminem a stack of cards. A power pay is already here with me. Amu was startled when he saw this. If you can use it during training, I'll lend it to you first. Sakura said angrily. Pointers agreed. I would only lend one to Eminem. However, now it's a matter of mutual help between companions, not a transaction. Eminem also took it over. Sakura lent all the cards with 3 attributes, except the fire attribute to Eminem. Arriving at the Pokémon Center in Yanmo City, Eminem skillfully asked the long-haired usher at the door, "Where can I get the semi-free suite?" "Hello. We are at the front desk at number 34. Thanks." After checking into a room at the Pokémon Center and putting away his luggage, He decided that ZioAI didn't want to go with him, so Eminem prepared to go to the battle club alone. When taking the elevator downstairs, Eminem also took out the color card and looked at it and found that the time card was also there. There are no skills on this card. The records of its effects are also unclear, however. Because it was also a water attribute card in the moon system, Sakura gave it to herself. Speaking of manipulating time, if you think about it from the perspective of Crowley Riddow's other identity, one of the founders of Hogwarts, Eminem can think of another prop in Harry Potter. Time Turner. As far as the time converter is concerned, it can really change some things, but at the same time it can't change anything. It can only become a part of the past and interfere with the unknown future, but cannot really change it. A clear now point. But after all, we are not in the world of Harry Potter, and this is not a time turner, so Eminem doesn't know if it is the same thing. Judging from the Celebi Colossus incident, it seems that history and future can really be changed. Only when history was changed, Isa was not dead yet. He was only on his deathbed after being stabbed, and no one else witnessed whether he died at the hands of Ayaka. So, can it be counted? Change is also questionable. Just when Eminem was staring at the Shide, he suddenly realized that the Celebi on it seemed to wink at him. Eminem looked at it carefully again, feeling a little subtle, not sure if it was an illusion just now. At the same time, the elevator jolted violently, and the floor display was confused. Well, Eminem was slightly surprised. The elevator in this Pokémon Center is in a bit of disrepair. Fortunately, he was the only one in the elevator, and Eminem was very calm and did not let the Pokémon out directly. A taboo in using elevators in this world is to quickly release large and heavy Pokémon at the slightest sign of trouble. Instead, may cause accidents. At this time, there was only a slight bump, and with a ding sound, the door opened on the first floor. When he went out, Eminem stared at the short-haired usher at the door twice, making the latter wonder if he was even more beautiful today. Of course, Eminem is confused, being mildly face blind. Eminem didn't notice that her appearance was a little younger than when she just came in. However, the sensitivity to things other than the facial features puzzled Eminem. In his mind, the conductor was a young lady with long hair. Why did you change your hairstyle in such a short time? Because Eminem had a conversation with the guide when he came in, so he had a vague impression. It's just that Eminem didn't take it seriously. After all, he didn't even remember whether this was a person or not. He might have changed his shift. Chapter 516 Explosion. The climate in the mountains is really changeable. Amu looked up and found that the sky, which was still sunny when he arrived, was already a little cloudy. Since the distance was not far, Eminem looked at the map and prepared to walk directly to the battle club. However, it was probably because it was located in a basin and the city planning was relatively constricted. The paths in Yanmo City were crisscrossed and very complicated. Amu got a little lost while walking and came to a secluded apartment area that was somewhat dilapidated and seemed to be semi-decommissioned. What's going on? Forget it. The general direction is correct anyway. Amu looked at the map, muttered in confusion, and then wanted to continue walking through here. At this moment, with the sound of an engine, a car sped over and almost stopped against Eminem. Two people quickly came down from the top. After seeing Eminem, they hurried forward. Seeing this posture, Eminem thought he was a kidnapper, but the other person immediately showed his Junsha license and whispered to Eminem, "Junsha, this is the film is in danger. Leave immediately." Are you also from the special operations team? Do you know the police officer in Miwako? If you need anything, I can also help. As soon as Amu saw Junsha handling the case, as a good citizen, he quickly offered to help. He was about to take out the Pokeball, but at this moment Eminem was stunned, forgot to bring it. Eminem felt nothing on his waist. Strange. I obviously checked before going out. Miwako? Police department? One of the men wearing sunglasses, Junsha, repeated in confusion, and then showed an expression that wanted to laugh. How can this little girl Miwako learn to brag? If you can help, please help evacuate the people outside. Junsha, another man with short blonde hair, also saw that Eminem was a trainer who was very confident in himself, so he said to him, "Okay, leave it to me." Eminem didn't insist on causing trouble for others. After all, he didn't seem to bring the elf ball. Of course, Eminem touched the Kuro card at this time, and he was quite confident Eminem could use all the earth attribute cards directly, and Eminem had also mastered a few of the other wind and water attribute cards. Several skills can be used with the help of cards, and even if you forget your Pokeball, there are also Zapdos balls, and, Eminem suddenly discovered, my own lightning bird ball is also missing. This is what I always wear around my neck. Why, now only the chain is there, but the ball as a pendant is gone. Eminem began to notice something was wrong, and tried to contact Leoka immediately. Just when Eminem was worried and wondered if Leoka would not respond, he only heard Leoka's calm voice, which sounded in Eminem's heart. The time. There is a slight time difference. It is indeed time. Eminem suspected that he had traveled again unknowingly. The time might have been in the elevator. Eminem judged that this time of travel should not be long. When he came out of the Pokémon Center, there were no obvious changes in the surrounding buildings. It was not like traveling in Maiden Gap for a whole 1,000 years before, but it should not be a day or two. Because the map has changed, Eminem now understands that the reason why he took the wrong path was not because he read the wrong map, but, you also traveled through time together? Eminem asked in confusion. It seems that other Pokémon, including Sparkle, have not traveled through time together, but why is Pokémon? Haha. Leoka just smiled disdainfully. At this time, Eminem also remembered the jet lag that Leoka mentioned just now. Maybe in Leoka's view, this is just a little bit of jet lag. Since Leoka can still recover, Eminem doesn't have anything to worry about and is helping evacuate downstairs. There was actually nothing to evacuate. This apartment building must be abandoned, and there aren't many people living in the buildings next to it. Not long after, a blonde middle-aged man with little hair ran out in a hurry. When he saw Eminem, he was startled and almost fell down. Who is it? Amu thought he was a suspect and quickly tried to stop him. I am the kidnapped person. Mr. Junsha asked me to come out quickly, the middle-aged man said, and took out a business card to show to Eminem. It's a pity that Eminem doesn't recognize his business card, and the two Junshas just now didn't introduce themselves either, but from the look on his face, Eminem didn't think it was a lie. Oh, then let's go quickly, Eminem said. Shortly after the middle-aged man left, another car drove over. Upon seeing this, Eminem quickly stepped forward to stop. There is a case ahead, please take a detour. Before Eminem could finish speaking, the driver immediately stuck his head out and asked, is there someone wearing sunglasses and a blonde-haired Junsha who has already entered? Amu was stunned when he heard this, and at the same time, looked at the driver who looked very strong and had a somewhat fierce face with caution. It wasn't until the other party took out his Junsha ID card that Eminem said, that's right, I saw two people getting out of the car coming from behind. One was tall and burly, and the other looked quieter and thinner. At this time, one released the wind speed dog and the other released the protective dragon, and they both ran into the apartment. Not long after the two people entered, Amu heard an explosion, and the windows of several rooms on the second floor were shattered by the impact. Upon seeing this, Eminem immediately entered the apartment building, relying on the fact that he could still contact Leoka. Although Eminem is very suspicious that there may be something wrong with the current time, but Eminem understands that from previous experiences, he is by no means spectating, but is part of the past, and his decision will affect future. Especially now, Eminem subjectively has no idea what is happening here, and the impact on the future will be unlimited. When I ran up to the second floor, I found that 3 of the 4 Junshas who came in before were here. The burliest one among them was using the guard dragon to cover himself, and the 2 teammates behind him. The person facing them was a man wearing a full covered bird's beak mask. On the left and right of the bird mask man were a red lotus armored cavalry and a blue flame blade demon. Originally, Eminem was not sure what was going on, but when this person noticed that Eminem had come in, he waved his hand directly, and then the red lotus armored cavalry and blue flame blade demon each fired red and blue missiles at Eminem. Flame. Be careful. The burly Junsha was about to rush over on his protective dragon to protect Amu. But it's still a step too late. Eminem looked at the trajectory of the flames and felt strange. Why did they cross in front of me before they hit me? 2 Pokémon made mistakes at the same time. However, at the next moment, the red and blue flames bloomed in a dazzling phantom light in front of Eminem, and then, a strong impact bloomed, but the bird-faced man was also startled. Although the burly Junsha was a step slower, and was pushed back by the explosion, Amu, who was the first to bear the brunt, had a translucent wall of light that vaguely looked like dragon scales appearing around him, and was not affected by the explosion at all. Impact. Chapter 517 Pramaya. Seeing that his trump card cross explosion failed to break through the defense, the bird-faced man was also startled, and immediately turned around and ran away. Junsha, who seemed to be gentle and quiet, immediately chased after him, and at the same time, stopped the burly Junsha. You stay to protect Zenping. I'm not at the point where I need protection yet. Sunglasses Junsha complained at this point, but at this time, his eyes were always on the instrument in front of him. This instrument looked unclear. It mainly consisted of a transparent container on each side, with a red container and a basket of 2 liquids inside. There was a connection in the middle, but it was not connected at the moment. China Unicum is not enabled. How is it? Is this a bomb? The burly Junsha asked worriedly. Well, if I guess correctly, that person just now should be Pramaya, the famous explosion killer in Padaya. This is his unique cross-explosion technique. It is the armor cannon of the Red Lotus Armor Cavalry and the Repentance Sword of the Kangayan Blade Demon. They have both awakened to a special direction, so that the combination of the two can produce a big explosion that ignores the protective effect. Both humans and Pokémon are extremely lethal. This guy has been wanted for a long time, but he has never been caught. Instead, he is hired around the world and continues to commit crimes. Sunglasses. Junsha, who was called Jinping, started to explain at this point. Maybe he was talking to himself while recalling knowledge points. This should be a kind of bomb made by extracting the flames from the Red Lotus, Armored Cavalry and the Blue Flame Blade Demon as materials. Jinping said, already starting to dismantle it. Are you okay? No one lives in this building. We can evacuate. The burly Junsha asked worriedly. No, evacuation is indeed necessary, but if a cross bomb of this magnitude detonates, it is not just a problem for this building. Jinping interrupted. Apparently he wasn't ready to give up on demolition. Pramaya. Eminem hadn't paid special attention to him, and didn't know the person. He just remembered the name, and was going to look it up online later. Hey, you should leave quickly. You and I will evacuate together. The burly Junsha was about to call Amu away at this point, but at this moment, there was a sound of broken windows upstairs. Amu quickly lay down on the window without glass and looked up. He saw the bird-faced man escaping from the roof to the opposite building. Eminem went directly to the windowsill at this time. I'll chase him first. Eminem felt that he was better at this. I saw Eminem stepping on the windowsill and jumped. Hey. The burly Junsha was startled and quickly caught up to take a look. But they found that Eminem actually jumped directly to the windowsill on the 4th floor opposite, then jumped back and jumped to the 6th floor here, and then jumped directly to the top floor opposite. These two buildings, not right next to each other. The burly Junsha even doubted whether this was Azor or Kahang. Go and evacuate. Zenping said anxiously at this point, because at this time, the sound of police sirens was heard, and many people watching the excitement were gathering around. The burly Junsha looked at the formation, and knew that he couldn't help with things like defusing bombs, so he stamped his feet, and went out first to order other patrolling Junsha who came to evacuate the people. At this time, Eminem jumped to the top of the building 3 times. Startling the blonde Junsha who had just jumped over on the sunshine rainbow little white horse, after he had just rushed in with Jinping, was originally chasing the bird-faced man, but was thrown away halfway, and the opponent turned back to kill Zenping who was dismantling the bomb. Fortunately, Ahung and the quiet-looking Junsha arrived later. When Wenjing Junsha chased the bird-faced man, Zero had already reacted and cooperated to intercept him. But now, Zero, who had just jumped over, was attracted by Amu, who suddenly jumped up. Zero. Be careful. Wenjing Junsha was on the top floor before. Because the distance was too far, and he didn't have any Pokémon that could fly, or have high jumping power, he couldn't get through at this time. Under his warning, The blonde Junsha, known as Zero, also faced the attack of cross explosion. I saw that the arm of the Red Lotus armored cavalry turned into a muzzle and sprayed out red flames, while the blue flame blade demon danced its arm blade burning with blue flames. And then the blue flames swept across. It's probably because the opponent has prepared their skills again and can use them again. But at this moment, I saw a jumping card between Eminem's fingers. The slender legs of the flash ace on it bounced slightly, and Eminem's legs also seemed to. It was shrouded in a layer of shadow, and its jumping ability became extremely strong. Yes, the reason why I could jump up was thanks to the jumping card. This card is a card that Sakura has conquered before she met Eminem. It is a subordinate card of wind attribute. Eminem has now learned the bounce skill above, and this jump card is quite effective at this time. On the effect of the wand point at the critical moment, I saw Eminem rushing directly in front of Zero. Because he arrived at the intersection of the flames first, the wall of light around him directly knocked away the red and blue flames. The flames that failed to meet did not burst out with any power, which was worse than the flames of the ordinary armor cannon and repentance sword. Whispering sound. The bird-faced man was unhappy when he suddenly saw a main rock werewolf that looked like daylight emerging from behind Damu. It was said to be a werewolf, but since it looked like daytime, it looked like a wolf, no matter how you looked at it. Man, rock werewolf quickly rushed towards the bird-faced man. Red Lotus armored cavalry and blue flame blade demon tried to stop them, but they were all passed by. Bite him, Archap, Ling shouted at this time. Obviously, he still had the intention of arresting the other party at this time, but when he saw the main rock werewolf Archa flying towards him and opening his mouth, the bird-faced man raised a pair of test tubes tied together from his waist and pointed at Archap, throwing it over. There were red and blue liquids inside. Seeing that it was too late to stop him, Amu waved his arms directly and saw the grass energy condensed into a cluster of petals, which attacked the bird-faced man first. It was the petal dance of flower card. Not only detonated the explosive test tube in advance, but also continued to attack the bird-faced man with half of it. Left, red Lotus armored cavalry and blue flame blade demon had blocked most of them at this time, but there was still one. At this time, it passed through the two guards and shot directly on the shoulder of the bird-faced man. Pramaya. The next moment, Pramaya continued to turn around and run away. When Eminem chased after him, he found that the other party had left behind another small cross bomb. The weight of this kind of carry-on was far less than that of the fixed equipment on the second floor opposite. Otherwise their opponent can't use it either. It can't throw any damage radius at all, so it can only be used to destroy both. After being blocked by the explosion again, Eminem also lost track of the opponent. Moreover, Zero's man rock werewolf was seriously injured and could no longer recover the Pokeball. Eminem retreated first to help with the rescue. Chapter 518. 2 years ago, after Eminem used the power card to fit for a while, he helped carry the seriously injured main rock werewolf on his back, and then use the jump card to jump directly from left to right. At this moment, Junch named Ling was not to be outdone and slid down directly with the help of the drainage pipe. House, Acham, Ahang asked quickly when he saw that the main rock werewolf that Eminem was carrying was covered in blood. We need to rescue him quickly. Wow. Halfway through Eminem's words, Zero also slipped down with the help of the drain pipe, but he was a little embarrassed. You are not a magical boy. How dare you come down like this? You go to the Pokémon Center first and leave the aftermath to me, Ahang said to Zero at this time, but Zero still looked worried. You can't do it now. Archa's injury needs to be rescued. Ahang didn't explain clearly because his mother was nearby. Zero's current mission cannot appear in front of others. Zero looked at Ahang and nodded. When he turned to look at Amu, he looked weird for a while, but finally said, "Thank you." There are many strange things about Eminem, but in the Pokémon world, it is normal to meet weird people. Especially recently, he has met many weird people and weird people. Ability point. After taking over the main rock werewolf from Eminem, Zero whispered, "It'll be ready soon, hold on." Acha, Eminem wasn't too worried. The main rock werewolf was seriously injured, but it wasn't too late to rush back to the Pokémon Center. That premier cross explosion was indeed strange, not to mention powerful, mainly because there was no insurance measure. If people are bombed, they will die. Pokémon will not fall into battle faint, completely ignoring the protection mechanism of this world. If it hadn't been for Eminem's early detonation and blocking part of the impact, this man rock werewolf would have died on the spot. Then Ahang looked at Eminem and asked seriously, "Who are you?" Eminem was stunned when he heard this, then smiled slightly and said, "I'm just a trainer passing by." "Trainer? But..." Ahang looked at Eminem strangely, wanting to say, "I didn't see your Pokémon. You are always in charge. What kind of trainer are you? Train yourself." When at this moment, Eminem vaguely heard Celebi's voice, and then looked at the time card in his hand, and found that Celebi on it was blinking at him again. "I'll take the first step." Amu suspected that the time card was about to activate again, and he might be about to go back. After saying that, Eminem turned and left. Wait a minute. Ahang also wanted to confirm some things, but seeing that Amu was in a hurry to leave, he didn't stop him. After all, there are many hermits in this world who have strange abilities and don't want to be known. As Junsha, in this case, there is no need to get to the bottom of things. After Eminem ran away, he found that the surroundings had begun to distort. As soon as he ran out of the apartment area, he found that the surroundings were blurry, and, after 2 steps, he saw the Pokémon Center. The surroundings are blurry, but the center of the Pokémon is clear. When following the voice of Shippei, Eminem followed the clarity directly, ran back to the Pokémon Center, and got on the elevator. As expected, I was still alone in the elevator. After pressing the button on the 12th floor, where his room was located, the elevator door closed, and the abnormality around him disappeared. Then, the elevator suddenly shook, and the floor display was abnormal for a while, but it recovered immediately. When stepping out of the elevator, Eminem touched his waist, and then his chest, and found that the Pokeball and Lightning Bird Ball were indeed there, and at this moment, the USB flash drive in Eminem's jacket pocket suddenly spit out a large amount of data, which gathered into the shape of a polygon. And it was a huge polygon. Huh. "Noah, did you find anything?" Eminem asked quickly. Just now the USB flash drive was always there, but Eminem couldn't call out Noah inside. Discovered. Time. Data. Loading completed. Organizing. Noah obviously didn't know anything about what happened before. After all, its main body, Noah's Ark, was originally created to travel back in time. I believe that, if there is a next time, Noah's performance may be different. At this time, Eminem looked at the time, and found that more than 2 hours had passed since he took the elevator downstairs. When she returned to the room, Zio AI, who was reading some documents on her laptop computer, wondered, "Why did you come back so soon today?" Eminem is usually very dedicated when training Pokémon. "You must be surprised when I tell you I just traveled through time and space again," Eminem said, and showed Zio AI the time card. Zio AI was really surprised. Compared to Eminem's time travel, Zio AI is more surprised. Eminem's adaptability to time travel now. When I say this, I feel like I just won a small prize at the supermarket near my door. When Zio AI asked curiously. Eminem understood that what she wanted to ask was when did she travel through time. "I also want to know. Just help me check when there was an apartment area here. By the way, there should have been an explosion there one afternoon." Eminem gave Zio AI the illustrated map. After Zio AI confirmed it, he started operating the computer. For such a relatively secretive matter, nothing could be found using normal search methods. After some comparison, Zio AI said, "A year and a half ago, there was an old apartment there. It was demolished in June last year. As for the explosion, no, but 2 years ago today, there was a serious gas leak here. And also after that, there were fewer and fewer residents here." Although it was said to be a gas leak, both Eminem and Zio AI understood that it was Junsha and the Alliance who concealed the truth from the public for the sake of stability. Otherwise, letting ordinary citizens know that an explosive maniac has come to Yanmo City will not help solve the case, but will cause unnecessary panic. Let me take a look at the reports. Eminem came over and looked at the news page that ZioAI found point, but of course, I didn't see any familiar people in the picture. It was just Eminem who counted them in his mind. Junsha, who is tall and looks the most mature, is called Ahan. Junsha, who has short blonde hair and looks a little stubborn, is called Zero. And the man in sunglasses who handles bombs is called Zenping. The last one looks the quietest and sensible. Junsha did not hear his name. Dan. I said before that the theatrical version will not be spoiled for the time being, although it has been released for a long time. I just want to insert this memory content. The real plot of Halloween Bride is still a year in the book back. Chapter 519. The familiar Junsha, Ahan, Ling, Zenping. Please help me check these 3 names. Eminem asked ZioAI to check further. This is obviously not his full name, right? ZioAI said, and rolled his eyes at Eminem point. Although in this world, full names are not usually used, but if you want information, full names are obviously better. I saw ZioAI working for a while, but the first 2 found nothing, but the third, there, is really news. And, it's in Yanmo City. ZioAI said, directly giving up his position to Eminem point just 2 years ago, on November 7th. Probably the day after Eminem met him, a Junsha named Matsuda Jinpei was debugging a bomb on the Ferris wheel at the Yanmo City amusement park. Died in the line of duty point. However, this bomb has nothing to do with Pramaya. It is just an ordinary bomber, because there are still photos of the explosion. There is no strange light point. As for Pramaya, Eminem searched it himself. Unlike Junsha from the secret department, Premier didn't have any blockades after searching. Eminem learned more about this abominable explosion killer, a guy who was paid to kill people. His characteristic was that he was cruel and would never leave anyone alive, regardless of whether he was a human or a Pokémon. Amy thought for a moment, and after Zero and Jinpei entered, one person escaped. That time 2 years ago, Pramaya should have failed. Not only did the person he wanted to kill not die, he was also stabbed in the shoulder by himself with petal dance, unfortunately. Until now, this hateful explosion killer has not been arrested, and even his identity remains unknown. In Junsha, whom he had just met once before, has now died. Although he was not an acquaintance at all, and the conversation only lasted 1 sentence, it still made Eminem not feel very good. It was almost dinner time, and Eminem did not go to the battle club again in the evening. He just called Sister King Mui and Grandma Rexy at home to report that he was safe, wrote a time travel diary, and wrote down some of his guesses that needed to be verified. Early the next morning, Eminem first signed up for the motorcycle lizard riding certificate assessment, and then went directly to the Yanmo City official gym. The official gym of Yanmo City is the Dragon Gym, also called Shenglang Gym. It can be said to be the most famous gym in the Chengdu area. The current gym leader, Kotsubaki, is not only Watara's cousin, but also considered to be the strongest gym leader in the Johto area after Liubo of the Kaji gym retired. Although it is not as powerful as Nazi, but unlike Nazi, the Shenglang gym in Yanmo City has a long history. It was not founded by Zio-chun, and not only one Zio-chun was born. Because not far from Yanmo City, there lives a clan of dragon trainers. Both Du and Zio-chun were born here. The Dragon Tamer clan is relatively famous among the hidden homes. Together with the dragon hometown in the Hezhan region, it is listed as the 2 major dragon type hidden homes. Hidden places are often far away from modernity, following an older way of life and Pokémon training, and have less contact with the outside world. However, the top ones are often famous. Yanmo City is surrounded by mountains, and there are many dragon-type Pokémon living in the complex caves in the northern mountains. Therefore, a long time ago, this area of Yanmo City may have had a different name, but it has always been a holy land for dragons. It is worth noting that, if you do not enter the cave and go north to a higher altitude mountainous area, you will be in an ice-field environment, and there will be many ice-type Pokémon. There are also unofficial ice-type gyms in Yanmo City, but, even if the ice-type restrains the dragon-type, in Yanmo City, the ice-type gym has never been able to win the official gym spot from the dragon-type gym. Which shows the gold content of the Shenglang Gym. Eminem just came to challenge for the 2nd badge today. Of course, he couldn't see Zio-chun himself. He just lined up step by step, challenged, got the badge, and refused the theme badge box sales. Compared to the dragon type, Eminem is actually more interested in the ice type in Yanmo City. After all, the ice type Pokémon nearby include Horror and Little Mountain Boar. The former is in addition to the ice type. There is also the evil type, and the ancient evolutionary body is fighting plus poison, and the latter is ice plus ground, which matches Eminem better. After getting the second badge, and leaving the Shore Gym, Eminem was about to return to the Pokémon Center. When passing by an alley, he happened to find Junsha blocking the scene point, and coincidentally, this is the street where the explosion occurred 2 years ago. It was demolished and rebuilt a year and a half ago. Although the building is not luxurious in style, it looks new. Eminem took a second look curiously. Looking at this battle, it seems like it's still a big case. Is this because someone is coming, and is it ready in advance? At this moment, Eminem saw a somewhat familiar Junsha, male Junsha. Seemingly noticing Eminem's gaze, the police officer in charge at the scene turned his head and saw this onlooker wearing glasses, looking at him with a hesitant expression on his face. Gaoming was also a little confused when he saw this. His many years of experience in Junsha made him realize that Amu seemed to know something, so he came over specially. Excuse me, did you pass by the area in the early hours of this morning? Gaoming came to Eminem with a small notebook and asked. Seeing Gaoming Police Department specifically questioning this person, other Junshas around were a little nervous, thinking that Gaoming saw something suspicious about him. Eminem then discovered that the main blockade was a Pokémon cafe, and then shook his head and said, "No, I just passed by here at about 8 o'clock in the morning." But Eminem also knew what the man was wondering about, so he asked, have we met before? Have you seen him before? Gaoming was stunned when he heard this. He didn't expect that Amu looked familiar to him. It's just that, on the contrary to Eminem, Gaoming is very sensitive to people's looks. When he looked at Eminem, he didn't feel familiar. 2 years ago, it was probably here, the time of the explosion. It was yesterday 2 years ago. Well, maybe I got the wrong person. Sorry to bother you. Eminem did feel that Junsha looked familiar, and he seemed very familiar. Some are like the one whose name I didn't know yesterday. However, Eminem also knew that he was face blind. In fact, he was not sure at all what Junsha looked like. He simply thought he looked familiar. When he saw that he didn't recognize him, Eminem just assumed that he had made a mistake. But when Gaoming heard what Eminem said, he couldn't help but froze, and then said a little distractedly, 2 years ago, you should have met my brother, who was also a Junsha. I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm going to continue working on the case. After Gaoming finished speaking, he turned around and returned to the scene, refraining from asking Amdo. In fact, Gaoming had noticed before that after his younger brother Jingguang graduated from Junsha school, he could no longer see his files, and he would not talk to him about work matters. In all likelihood, he was transferred to the confidential department. Note 1. So even though Jingguang hadn't contacted him for a long time, Gaoming already had a bad feeling, so he didn't ask any more questions at this time. Note 1. Zufu Gaoming, the reasoning police department nicknamed Kangming in the original Nagano prefecture, appears here. Earlier Kajimitsu Morifuku, Gaoming's younger brother, one of the police academy 5. In the original work, he was an undercover agent in the Dark Organization. When he and Hidake were a pair, Riifu Kutani, Toru Amuro, Bourbon, broke in and mistakenly thought he was someone from the organization, came to the door, so he shot himself. Bourbon's identity was unknown at the time, so Shuchiake admitted that he was killing the traitors. This was just the experience in the original work, and does not represent the book. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 520 Alala People. Alliance 200, November 8 early morning. Rum's confidant, the second largest figure in the Dark Organization, and Junsha's Bourbon, or Fengu Zero, who is also an undercover Junsha search force, suddenly woke up from a nightmare point he dreamed about half a year ago again. At that time, he was in a different department than him, but he was also an undercover agent of the organization. Jingwang, and his identity was discovered by the organization's rye whiskey point. When I rushed up with Acha, the bastard rye whiskey had already released Doran Baruto and killed him. Fortunately, he had a good fortune. At the critical moment, he arrived in time, and the second dragon arrow was blocked by Acha and bit down. Although Jingwang was still seriously injured and has not been able to wake up yet, he finally saved his life point, and at that time, Zero was also very worried that his behavior would be suspected by rye whiskey. At that time, he did explain as Bourbon that he wanted to interrogate Jingwang, but it was still very suspicious. 3 months ago, Zero knew. It turns out that the bastard Rye Whiskey is also an undercover agent, but Rye Whiskey is from the Hezhang Junsha headquarters and is not the same department as Zero, who is part of the search force point. In the past few days, he had been dreaming about that thrilling night point. I don't know why in my dream I didn't release Acha at that time, but took Amu, the night form main rock werewolf, who I had trained after working undercover in the dark organization point. As a result, in the dream, I had never seen the scenery of Amu. When I saw the werewolf rushing up in the dark night main rock, I directly hit the second dragon arrow. Although I don't know why I have such a dream, luckily it's just a dream. Mini Dragon Roads, Lion Yakitori, right? Okay, see you tomorrow. Eminem made an appointment with Yuanzi in the evening to meet tomorrow point, because Heiji and the others are also arriving in Yanmo City tomorrow. Sonoko and others are not planning to go to the Pokémon Center first. After taking the morning flight point originally, Eminem wanted to sleep until the appointed time, but while Bourbon was having a nightmare, Sakura also had a nightmare, so dong Eminem's door was knocked at 5 o'clock in the morning point. Eminem could already tell who was knocking from this rhythm. After getting up, he opened the door and asked directly, "What's wrong? Come to my room and talk." Tomoyo said and left as usual point. At this time, with Eminem's energy, he was not ready to go back to sleep, so he went directly to wash up and come to Tomoyo's side point. Sure enough, Sakura was already awake at this time, and she was still drawing something. "What's wrong? What did you dream about?" Eminem understood that this was the time for this kind of thing. "I dreamed of an Alala man who was shot with an arrow, and it was a dragon arrow," Sakura said quickly. "Dragon arrow?" Amu was stunned for a moment, and then realized that it should be Doran Misha, which is the unevolved form of Doran Baruto. Someone shot a dragon arrow? Amu wondered for a moment. Generally speaking, Doran Baruto will regard Doran Misha as an arrow. Generally an adult Doran Baruto will come with 2 unborn Doran Misha, just like the little marsupial in the bag of the marsupial. To be precise, it is not a young individual, but an egg that has not been completely hatched. It's just that for Doran Baruto, both females and males can hatch eggs, and there are hatching holes on both sides of the head. Indeed, the strongest skill of Doran Baruto is a dragon arrow that shoots out of Doran Misha. The fully mature Doran Misha can also completely leave Doran Baruto, and only then can it be considered a truly hatched independent individual. But this is the first time Eminem has heard about someone shooting dragon arrow. At this time, Sakura nodded fiercely to show that she remembered correctly. Eminem looked at Zioke again, but Zioke only spread out 2 tentacles, obviously not understanding what was going on. "Is there anything unusual about that Alala person? How did you know he was an Alala person?" Amu asked in confusion. "No, it's just very dark. He should be from Alala," Sakura said after thinking about it for a moment, while holding a crayon drawing in front of Eminem. "Well, as we all know, there are actually people with dark skin in Alala, Unova, Kalas, and Gala, but there are more in Alala. Butyl Thal." Sakura was drawn crookedly. Eminem could still make out that she was a little black boy, wearing a light blue jacket and a white baseball cap with a green brim. Slim shady, although Eminem is face blind. There is no need to judge how well his facial features are drawn today. "Don't I go to meet some friends? How about you go too?" Eminem asked directly. "Don't we need to find the dragon arrow man?" Sakura asked doubtfully. "This friend of mine, is also quite dark and likes to wear baseball caps. Eminem explained. Your friend is from Alala. Sakura quickly confirmed. No, they are from Kanto. Mixed blood. It should not be. That's definitely not the case. How can a Kanto person be so dark? I didn't paint it that dark. It's actually very dark. Sakura shook her head repeatedly. At 10 o'clock, Eminem arrived at the entrance of Lion Yakitori, as agreed, taking Sakura and Tomoyo with him. Amu, this way. Yuanzi waved his hand across the road. It can be seen that Hiji and Kazuha have already reconciled with them, but at this time they were talking face to face, and Kazuha didn't look very happy. After Amu and the others came over, Sonoko looked at Tomoyo in a state of shock and asked, "Why are you here too?" It just so happened that Sakura seemed to have a dream. At this moment, Hiji turned around, and Sakura's eyes suddenly widened, and she pointed at Hiji. "AHH. Is it really you?" Hiji looked at Sakura in surprise, and then wondered, do we know each other?" At this time, Kazuha looked at Hiji, and then at Sakura. He couldn't help but show an angry expression and bit his lip, but he still said, "This is your first love, right? Why don't you go and recognize each other? Is it like this?" Hiji looked at Sakura in confusion. There was no such thrilling feeling. First love? What? First love? It's really, actually, you are really from Kanto? Have you provoked anyone recently? The kind who can shoot dragon arrow? Sakura listened. When I came to first love, I didn't know what I thought of, and I immediately felt embarrassed, but then I quickly brought up business. Hiji really couldn't understand Sakura's confusing expression. "Okay, let's find a place and talk quietly," Eminem reminded from the side. Chapter 521 First Love. Predictive dream? Really? So amazing. Kazuha looked at Sakura in surprise. In a restaurant, Eminem and Sakura explained the predictive dream to Kazuha and Hiji, but they didn't explain the Kuro card or anything like that. They just let him know that he was going to be shot in the next 2 days. But it was really me who dreamed about it? What happened after he was shot? Hiji said doubtfully. Although there are such things as prophecy and foreknowledge in this world, if someone other than Amu brought him told him you are about to be killed, Hiji would definitely not believe it. There are very few reliable prophets, and their predictions are generally very vague. I don't know. I woke up after that, but Sakura looked at Hiji and didn't say anything, but everyone could hear what he meant. Such a long and thick door in Misha. It's probably cold. Shooting dragon arrows with a bow sounds like some kind of special training school. Kendo school. Hiji muttered to himself at this time. Hiji was still very familiar with Kendo. In this world, Kendo and Karate are both special training schools. Karate masters and Kendo masters are also special trainers. Trainers in Pokémon cooperate during battles. The difference is that Karate requires empty hands, while Kendo does not require empty hands. Using a bow and arrow is undoubtedly Kendo. As for the person Sakura saw shooting the arrow, he was wearing a mask, so she couldn't recognize who it was. Hiji, why aren't you nervous at all? You were hit by an arrow. Seeing his attitude, Kazuha immediately became unhappy. No, but precognitive dreams may not be accurate, right? Hiji still had an indifferent attitude. Really? After coming to Yanmo City, do you only remember your first love? He said dissatisfied. What? It has nothing to do with that, right? Hiji said quickly. First love? Yuanzi and Xiaolin immediately looked over curiously. Let's not talk about this for now. Conan, let's go. Xiaolin, lend me this kid. Hiji said and took Conan away. At this time, Kazuha angrily did not follow him, but turned his head. Sakura was worried and wanted to follow, but Eminem knew these two straight men, so she said, "Okay, let's divide it into a boys group and a girls group. You guys can help Yi analyze the archery one. Whoever the person is, I'll go find them," Eminem said as Sakura pressed back her seat and followed Conan and Hiji out. Yuanzi and Xiaolin immediately asked, "What's going on? What's going on? Why is there a first girlfriend?" When he heard the words, He was also speechless, and then he sighed and corrected, "It can't be regarded as a first love girlfriend, just a first love. 8 years ago, my family came to Yanmo City with Heeji's family. At that time, Heeji was naughty and hit his head at Kailuji Temple and fainted. As a result, he disappeared for a short time. When he came back, he picked up an earthy yellow conical tiara, which he said was a super cute girl. It fell off, and later, here, this is a newspaper from a while ago, a gossip tabloid from Jinhuang City. They also interviewed him, and he took it out with a proud look on his face. Haha. Heeji's face was filled with a disgusted expression of man, TUI. In the photo in the newspaper, Heeji was actually holding an unknown headgear with a smile on his face. But is this really a headdress? Xiaolin thought for a while, what effect would this thing have if it was inserted into her head? As for the hairpin, it seems a bit too thick. Who knows? If it's a cup, it's pointy and it doesn't seem to be able to stand up. Kazuya also said in confusion, but you took this posture specifically to meet your first love, right? Tomoyo speculated at this time. Sure enough, Yuan looked angry again. Who cares what he did? Maybe that's why he was shot. At the same time, Heeji on Eminem's side did not go behind Eminem's back and told Conan and Eminem the real reason why he came to Yanmo City this time. Serial murder case. After Conan heard this, he looked at Heeji in surprise. Yes, have you heard about the Akatsuki organization's case? Heeji asked. Akatsuki organization? Amu asked in surprise. Conan and Heeji glanced at him and then showed a speechless expression. This guy's reaction clearly didn't know which Akatsuki organization Heeji was talking about. You're talking about that one, right? The Akatsuki organization responsible for the serial theft of idols. It is said that the code name of the leader of the organization is Nagato, and the code name of the second number is Pen. The other members also use a legendary Akatsuki organization, the code name of a member. Conan said at this time. He said it in such detail, and he also explained it to Eminem, another group of cosplay monsters. Amu muttered, thinking of the Hokage Rock case. Have they committed another crime recently? Conan confirmed to Heeji, it can be said that, but it is not the theft of idols that they are good at, but serial killings. And the people who were killed have been found to be members of the Akatsuki organization, and it is very likely that they were fighting among themselves. These to the day is about to be made public, so these are the cases. Heeji said, showing Conan and Eminem the pages on the illustrated book. There were 6 victims in total because the key information Junsha has not been made public, and it did not even happen at the same place. The outside world, including Conan, had no way of knowing before that this was a serial murder case related to the Akatsuki organization. One of them was in Rainbow City, where 3 people were directly killed. The other 2 were in Jinhuang City, with 1 victim each. And the 4th time, this case is from yesterday. Wait, the coffee shop on Yale Street. I saw Junsha sealing it off yesterday. Eminem thought of the kind-faced man Junsha yesterday. Really? What was the incident like? Heeji asked quickly. When Eminem heard this, he spread his hands and said, I was just passing by. Who knows what? Heeji and Conan both looked at him speechlessly. Why don't you go in and ask? Where is your reasoning soul? But how could you? Conan looked at Heeji in confusion. Normally, no one would entrust him to investigate such an incident. The owner of a takoyaki shop that I often go to is one of the victims. Although I know now that he is a member of the thieves group, I received a lot of care from him before. I hope the murderer can be brought to justice. Heeji said, I see. Conan nodded after hearing this, and then asked, but you couldn't have known that the murderer would come to Yanmo City a week ago, right? It is true that the last case occurred in Yanmo City, and it was just yesterday morning, but Heeji said he would come to Yanmo City a week ago. No, I came to Yanmo City because Heeji was about to say. Eminem answered, looking for your first love? Of course not. Chapter 520 Takualan Temple. Before the Akatsuki organization disappeared, the place where they frequently moved was Yanmo City and the capital, so I guess there might be clues here, but I heard about the latest murder case this morning. It seems like there really won't be any, it's all for nothing. He looked furious in the early hours of yesterday morning. The last victim appeared. It seems that there is a high probability that the murderer is still in Yanmo City. There are 9 people in Akatsuki organization, right? Conan confirmed at this time point he didn't know at all that this matter was related to the Akatsuki organization, and he didn't go out to check it out. Being able to blurt out some basic information was already a reflection of his excellent memory and his impression of some major unsolved cases. Yes, so there is still the possibility of another case happening. He nodded. But Akatsuki organization was famous for stealing statues back then, right? Speaking of which, Uncle Kagoro is also in Yanmo City now, and it was the host of Kuala Temple who invited him. I wonder if there is any connection. Conan said at this time. Kuala Temple. Yuan noticed. Huh? Conan looked at him in confusion. Isn't this what you noticed so weird? Ahem. It's nothing. Just keep talking. Awkwardly changed the subject. Uncle Kagoro shouldn't have arrived yet. Let me call and check. Conan said, taking out his mobile phone. Uncle, you almost here? Can you? No. It's not to cause trouble. It's Hijini who admires you very much. Yes. He said he is too young and wants to watch you solve the case. Conan made a gesture indicating successful negotiation, but Hiji really couldn't be happy. You guy. Hiji looked at Conan gloomily. But in order to go together, I had to endure it. Kuala Temple. It seems that the 12-year statues have been consecrated recently, right? But I didn't hear anything was stolen from them by the Akatsuki organization. Hiji said in confusion. He usually pays attention to Kuala Temple. The 3 of them took a taxi and came to Kuala Temple. As the name suggests, it is a temple worshipping Kuala. Because of the existence of mythical beasts, the temples in this world basically worship real mythical beasts. There are also Pokémon like Kualiu, which are deified, even though they are not mythical beasts, in Yanmo City. There are temples for various dragon-type Pokémon and dragon-type mythical beasts. There are even more temples for Ho-Oh and Lugia in the Johto area. This is very different from other cities in the Johto area. The difference, really, you little brats. If you want to appreciate the heroic appearance of this detective, I'll satisfy you, but don't make trouble for me. Kagoro said with a proud look on his face, but he also pretended to be disgusted. Hiji looked helpless at this time, but in order to get clues, he pinched his nose and admitted, Kuala Temple. Eminem looked at the plaque at the door and thought of a certain Kuala ancestor, and specifically asked, Leoka, do you want monks in your temple, or do you want a group of yellow-flowered girls to be there? In your temple, do you change the group after you turn 24? But even if Eminem teases Leoka, he still pretends to be asleep and doesn't answer, and now Leoka has no choice. There are only old monks in the temple. Yes, there are monks and goddesses in this world, but the objects of worship are mythical beasts or some specially worshipped Pokémon. When the 3 of them came in with Kagoro, the temple's abbot, Master Yuanhei, and a capable looking monk, as well as 3 people dressed as ordinary people who seemed to be pilgrims, welcomed Kagoro. The young monk first greeted Kagoro and said enthusiastically, "Thank you very much for coming. I'm Ryun who contacted you before. This is Master Renke, the host of this temple." The old monk, who looked kind-hearted, put his hands on top of his head and picked with his 2 index fingers. It is said to be imitating the dragon's whiskers on Kuala head, a kind of salute gesture. These 3 are benefactors of our temple, and this is Mr. Sakura who runs an antique shop. Eminem thinks that Mr. Sakura looks short and stocky, and his facial features have the temperament of a profiteer. At first glance, he is a good material for selling antiques. This is Mr. Herotero, the ancient coordinator of Waterwake. Herotero seems to be a young man with an upright attitude. Ancient coordinators are actually ancient and traditional Pokémon performers. They pay attention to the division of genres. According to the modern classification, they are all coordinators. Some ancient coordinators will also participate in coordination competitions. And this is Mr. Tager from the used bookstore. Day looks like Monk Langian, tall and mighty, but wearing glasses. The host, Master Yuanhei, said at this time, but rather than saying that he is a donor, it is better to say that he is a fellow swordsman of Leona. Today we are also here for a swordsman showdown. Swordsmanship? Amu and the three of them noticed the element at the same time. Hahaha, no wonder the master's body is so strong. Kagoro said in greeting. By the way, I heard that in 3 days, your temple will have a very special Kuala-Luang statue with a 1,000-year history, which will be consecrated every 12 years, right? We are all looking forward to it, Hiji said specifically at this time. Everyone is interested. If Master Kuala-Luang knows about it, he will definitely be very happy. Old Monk Yuanhei responded without missing a beat point. However, both Eminem and Conan noticed that Monk Long Yuan's face looked a little unnatural. After that, in front of the other guests, the host didn't say much and just asked Ryan Yuan to entertain the four. Kagoro first point. When they came to the hiding place behind the temple, Long Yuan also told the truth. In fact, the Kuala-Luang statue had been stolen 8 years ago. What? Stolen? But there are still 3 days. Kagoro was surprised and at the same time understood why a temple would hire him. Yes, it will be bad if you haven't found it back by then, Long Yuan said worriedly. But you haven't reported the crime in 8 years. Hiji wondered. Well, the host master said that if there is a fate, the Kuala-Luang statue will definitely come back in the future. Long Yuan said helplessly. Point Slim Shady. Eminem now feels that the old monk is too suspicious. Leoka, your statue has been stolen. Can you feel it? Eminem asked curiously. Haha. Leoka just laughed disdainfully. Point it seems to be saying, it's just human wishful thinking. 8 years ago, it was right before the Akatsuki organization disappeared. Hiji now felt that this theft was absolutely inseparable from the Akatsuki organization, but 8 years have passed. Kagoro was also a little embarrassed. There must be no clues. No, actually 2 days ago, this temple received this anonymous letter, which said that, as long as the puzzle is solved, you can see the Kuala-Luang statue again. Long Yuan took out a piece of paper at this time. Point I saw a painting on it, roughly divided into 3 columns, with a total of 9 dragon type Pokémon. Dang dang. Recommend a new book. Travel through Azeroth, become a little thief of the Defious Brotherhood, and start the footman's adventure by practicing the 8-gate Dharma. Azeroth, starting from the practice of the 8-gate Dharma. Chapter 523 looks familiar. What is this? Dragon Baruto. 3 evil dragons. Red-faced dragon. There is a dragon here, but it's a different color. Kagoro took the letter and looked at it. Point at this time, Hiji and Conan were secretly photographing the front, while the other went down to look at the envelope on the back. There are 9 dragon type Pokémon, 3 different colors and 6 ordinary ones. Except for Dragonite, they are generally in 3 columns. Dragonite is between the first and second columns independently. There is no postmark or address on the envelope. It should be a private delivery. Hiji and Conan each received the information at this time. Point Eminem said, is there anything special about your Kuala-Luang statue? I have a super powerful Kuala-Luang. Can it sense the statue? What our temple enshrines is not the ordinary Kuala-Luang, but the legendary sea god who existed thousands of years ago. The ordinary Kuala-Luang cannot feel it. We, the host, also have a Kuala-Luang. Long Yuan took it for granted, said Point. When Amu heard this, his eyes lit up and he said, how does the god of the sea sense the statue? Well, if we are sincere, the god of the sea will naturally feel it. Long Yuan had no choice but to explain, and at the same time, he looked at Eminem with a look that said, are you looking for trouble? Eminem curled his lips when he heard this. I just can't feel it. When I write it together, after getting the only clue, Ryuun proposed to entertain Kagoro. Naturally, the 3 of them didn't think that there was a place suitable for entertaining such an uncle, so they said goodbye, and Kagoro was happy to do so. Point after that, the 3 of them came to Yare Street, near the cafe where the case occurred early yesterday morning. The Kuala-Luang statue from Kuala-Luang Temple was stolen 8 years ago. For detectives, this fresh crime scene is more valuable. However, the place where the crime occurred was blocked by Junsha, and the three of them could only go around separately to inquire about the news. Junsha speculated that the time of death was early yesterday morning, but found that the time was already after 10 o'clock. Because the cafe was not open, the cake seller next door went in and took a look and found that the door was not locked, and then discovered the body. The murderer was very cruel. In addition to the deceased, one of the deceased's Pokémon partners, biting land shark, also died from a slashing move. The three of them came to the cake shop at this time. Heiji and Conan came up and asked if it was Eminem, who bought the most expensive cake for several people, before letting them speak. What happened yesterday? Hey, I really didn't expect that Leixi was actually a member of the thieves group, and hey, as soon as I entered, I saw Shark lying on the ground, covered in blood. Oh, the Shark is Leixi's biting land shark. Just when Heiji wanted to ask in detail, he heard a young but steady voice from the side. If you make a chicken hold the night, make a raccoon hold a rat, use your abilities, nothing will happen to you. When Eminem turned around, he found that it was Junsha, the man he met yesterday. Heiji looked at the other party inexplicably at this time. I just want you to stop the dog from getting the mouse, Eminem explained to him. Heiji was speechless. Didn't I understand? And do you really want to be so straightforward? Gaoming also choked and then said, ahem, it's not that much. I just want to say that only by performing their own duties can this society run better. I think Jinghua police inspector must also think of it this way. Obviously Gaoming has recognized Heiji. You the Junsa responsible for this case? Heiji, as the second generation of Junsa, asked back with no stage fright but some suspicion. That's right, I'm from the police department of Yanmo City. Gaoming was good tempered and showed him the Junsha ID card. This case. Heiji also wanted to ask for some clues. When chaos arises, words are regarded as order. If the king is not secretive, his ministers will be lost, and if the minister is not secretive, he will lose his virginity. If some things are not secretive, it will cause harm. Therefore, a gentleman is cautious and does not go out. Gaoming said mysteriously. This is his language habit, which means he cannot leak secrets casually. Eminem reminded from the side. He told you not to ask. If you ask again, you will lose your virginity. Heiji, Gaoming looked at Eminem, hesitated again and again, but still didn't ask, but turned and left. By the way, what are their code names? Amu asked Heiji curiously. The deceased in the cafe was codenamed Kasame. The three who died in Rainbow City before were Scorpion, Deidara, and Orochimaru. The Takoyaki boss I knew was codenamed Kakuzu. The other person who was killed in Golden City was Itachi. Ping said after counting. Are there any Nagato, Pen, and Conan left? Amu asked. No, there is no Conan. The third person is hidden. Heiji corrected. Is there a secret Zion? It's normal for an 8-person organization to have 9 members, right? Amu said with a flash of inspiration. However, Conan and Heiji did not answer this baseless speculation. Okay, let me treat you to a meal first. Heiji saw that it was almost time, so he invited directly. He felt that he was looking for Conan and Eminem to help point on this point. Heiji is better than Shinichi. The newcomer never knows how to invite people to dinner while eating. Conan curiously asked about first love. Eminem was also listening intently when he heard that Heiji had fainted and got up again. He saw a super cute girl in a dragon suit singing and shooting a ball under the tree with the setting sun. Eminem couldn't help but said, she's really superficial. Expression. Is this what you picked up? The hairpin. Could it be something else? Conan curiously took the cone-shaped thing. Seeing that Conan didn't complain about this level of innocence, Eminem couldn't help but said from the side, fortunately it's you. If it were Conan, he would definitely see someone hanging from a tree as soon as he woke up. Conan, let's go check out some places related to the legends of the Akatsuki organization in the afternoon. Heiji suggested. Is it the legendary Akatsuki organization? Akatsuki organization is operating in the Kanto area, right? Amu wondered. Yes, but the Johto area has been deeply influenced by Kanto culture, and Yanmo City also has some antique buildings. Hiji explained. He had been to Yanmo City many times before, but every time he failed to find any clues related to first love. Eminem glanced at the cone that Conan handed back, and found that it looked familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen it before. Dang dang. Bendang started to have symptoms of mild cold and low fever today. In order to save a small amount of antigen, he did not test it. However, Bendang's wife is already 39 degrees plus weak yang, so this week's update will be random. If there is any, she will rest. Try not to affect the update. It seems to be quite mild at the moment. It should be the second or third day. I had a headache 2 days ago. It may be due to the slow course of the disease. I hope that, if everyone is really positive, it will be as mild as Bendang. Chapter 520 40 House. This is the imitation Tenchi Bridge. The legendary Akatsuki organization, Scorpion and Orochimaru fought here. Hiji said, pointing to a suspension bridge in front of him. Scorpion and Orochimaru? Eminem looked strange, thinking that the legend might be wrong. What's wrong? It's nothing. Eminem didn't say it specifically. After all, Eminem didn't have any evidence at this moment. Eminem and Conan reacted almost at the same time, turning their heads to look in the same direction. Be careful. Eminem and Conan shouted together. Conan threw Hiji away at this time, and then Eminem also released Bulbasaur and Nidoking. Knowing that someone was likely to attack Hiji today, Eminem also adjusted the Pokémon on his body. I brought Agarian and Nido back with me. At the same time, I just heard a click just now. Someone was standing on a tree branch in the distance, lining up a bow and arrow, and shot a Doran Misha over. Fortunately, Conan pounced on Hiji, so he was not directly shot in the head. Instead, the Doran Misha used as an arrow shot directly through a big tree behind Hiji. And at this moment, the upright Doran Misha, which was regarded as an arrow, twisted its body and disappeared on the spot, apparently sneaking into the shadow space. Eminem was stunned when he saw this. Surprise attack? Doran Misha can't learn. Surprise attack, right? Garlic, Nido, Lion stamped his feet, stretched out a large number of vines from his back to hit the archer, and Nido smashed his arms to the ground. Invisible earth ripples spread, directly knocking down the big tree he was standing on. However, the opponent immediately jumped and fell down. Only then did Eminem have time to observe carefully. Because the other party was wearing a red cloud and black cloak, his figure could not be seen. He also had a rotating mask on his face, with only one eye exposed. Good guy. Actually, the 10th one is a Fenny, of course. Eminem also understands that there is no rule out that this person is Nagato, pen or hidden, because if he takes action at this time, his identity will definitely not be revealed, and his usual cosplay will not be used. Seeing that the sneak attack failed, the attackers had no intention of fighting, so they directly released the motorcycle lizard. It seems that the thieves group is really making a lot of money. Hiji was a bit more miserable. He just released a Rotom and possessed it on the electric donkey, Shinichi. Hiji threw a helmet to Conan. And Conan put on his helmet, looked at it, and chose Eminem's motor lizard, only to receive a sideways glance from Hiji. No matter how you look at it, Eminem's motor lizard is more reliable than Hiji's electronic Rotom. As for his own skateboard Rotom, he said before that it is being upgraded and renovated by Dr. Agasa. After Eminem took back Alwyn and Nido, the three of them chased each other. The running speed of Alwyn and Nido was definitely not as good as Motor Lizard, so they were useless in this kind of pursuit. Then Duolangmui West Asia seemed to have been recovered by the opponent after surprise raid. During this period, Eminem also wanted to release the lightning bird. Zio Shen would definitely be able to catch up with him in one go, but haha, I want to trick my mother into dealing with those ghosts again. I won't go. Zio Shen seemed to feel the aura of Kuro card. It's not surprising. After all, it was Sakura who dreamed about it. Zio Ke also said before that, since it is shooting arrows, it is probably Yate or Strike, but it is not clear why humans shoot dragon arrows. And Eminem couldn't feel anything. Both the Year card and the Strike card were fire attribute cards. Two chased and one escaped, all the way from the suburbs to the city. In the end, the guy dressed as a fairy escaped by taking advantage of a train point. When Eminem saw this, he also took back his horse. After all, it hadn't been verified yet, and it would be bad if Junsha saw it. The situation was urgent just now, so naturally he couldn't care so much. Damn it. Heiji was so angry that he beat his chest. That guy must be the murderer, right? But why did he come specifically to attack Heiji? Conan also wondered at this time. Of course it's because you're worried that I'll solve the case, Heiji said very confidently, but Conan still felt that this was suspicious. There are too many people investigating this case, and no one will continue the investigation unless Heiji is killed. On the contrary, it will lead to greater investigation. Is Heiji's reputation really that great? Let the murderer take the risk of being exposed and come specifically to assassinate him. Okay, let's go find Kazai and the others first. Heiji used the illustrated book to call Kazai. What? Mini Dragon Tea House? Why are you going to the tea house? Okay, we will be there soon. Heiji looked weird and agreed with Yi on the location point. No wonder he has this expression. The tea house is not a place to drink tea, but a place to drink wine and watch the ancient geisha dance. The greasy smell is very serious. Chair, I have a bad premonition. Conan's premonition was obviously for Kagoro Point. Sure enough, when the three of them arrived at the mini dragon tea house on Mia Long Street, they heard Xiaolan's voice coming from a private room on the second floor without saying their names. When I came upstairs and opened the door, I saw Xiaolan giving justice to a certain famous detective, Greasy Uncle, who had been carried away. Okay. Xiaolan, please let your father go this time, otherwise we will be embarrassed. Monk Long Yuan persuaded from the side point. Well, in addition to Ryan, Tega who runs a second-hand bookstore, Sakura who runs an antique shop, and Harotero who is from the ancient coordinator school, 3 pilgrims that I had met at Kualuju temple before, are also here at this time. It's them. Entertaining Kagoro. Leoka, do you care if your monk drinks flower wine? Eminem asked Leoka deliberately. Of course Leoka ignored him. Stupid humans. Just wishful thinking. Who cares about these bald heads? Xiaolan saw that there were still outsiders present, so she had to stop her activities. But at this time, Heiji looked at the geisha and the landlady here in surprise. Ah, is that you? Heiji looked like he knew him. What? A coincidence. I didn't expect that you are also a friend of Detective Kagoro, the landlady said enthusiastically. Eminem and Conan also looked over curiously, and Hay was even more shocked. Are you still a regular customer? Just now when we were looking for clues separately, I happened to teach a thief a lesson for snatching this lady's wallet. Heiji immediately explained. Yes. Hehe. After Auntie, the landlady's face froze. The geisha girl on the side continued to perform a dance that seemed a bit awkward to Eminem with simple accompaniment. There was also a mini dragon accompanying the dancer. Eminem estimated that this mini dragon should be the landlady opened the tea house. Because of this at this moment, Mr. Rang said, sorry, I'm a little tired. There are no other guests today, right? Let me take a rest in the room downstairs. Mr. Sakura is obviously a frequent visitor here. Dang. It's time to get over the high fever stage. If the fever doesn't happen tomorrow, the third update will be resumed. Chapter 525. Everything is under my witness. Sorry, I have to go to the bathroom. Day said at this time. I'm coming too. Amu immediately stood up and followed. Excuse me, Jade, you will play. The landlady went out for a while. I'll excuse you for a moment. Let's get some fresh air. Eminem got up and went out again. I'm sorry. Harotero, as the ancient coordinator, stood up solemnly. I'm sorry, please blow me off. Eminem also stood up. I'm going to the toilet. Monk Long Yuan said directly and innocently. Me too. Eminem followed suit again. Sorry, excuse me. Aling, who had been dancing or playing small games with everyone, said with a slight sweat at this time. Excuse me. Eminem stood up again. Arling was stunned when she saw this. Hey, are you urinating frequently? Heiji pushed down Amu. Why do you have to follow anyone who goes to the toilet? I don't go to the toilet every time. Eminem rolled his eyes, but he still pushed him back. Ling covered her mouth and smiled when she saw this. Xiaolin, Sinoko, Xiaoying and other 6 girls, including Xiaoyi, were chatting on the outside stage of the private room. As soon as Heiji opened his mouth, Kazuha's radar was activated and looked over, blanking him. One glance. Heiji shivered, as if he felt something, and then moved his neck, still wondering where the wind came from. After a while, the proprietress was about to go to settle accounts, and called Mr. Ring up. Who knows? The boss lady's scream came from below. Kagoro, who was originally in a serious mood, reacted in a flash, not to mention the faster Mew, Conan and Heiji, who had already rushed out. Following the sound, I saw the proprietress sitting at the door of the half-story basement, falling to the ground, pointing inside with a look of panic. At this time, Eminem and others looked inside and saw Mr. Sakura was as expected covered in blood, and fell into a pool of blood, without even releasing the Pokémon. Heiji stepped forward to check, then shook his head and said, "No, he has been dead for about half an hour." Everyone looked ugly for a while, but Eminem stared at Xiaoling several times. Soon, the Junshus rushed over, led by the Gaoming police department whom they had met before. The deceased Sakura Masazo, the operator of the antique shop on Hatuga Ryu Street, caused death by shooting directly into the heart. The time of death was probably around 8:30. There were no witnesses around, and several ladies were chatting on the stage outside. No one was found approaching, so it seems that there is still a high possibility of an internal crime. Gaoming then looked at Yuanzi and others who had just given their testimony. "Let's investigate other people's alibi first." Gaoming said at this time, he didn't specifically want to investigate the alibi of Eminem and others, mainly other people. At that time, except for Ms. Ko who played, everyone seemed to have gone out, right? Kagoro looked at Eminem at this time. Eminem smiled confidently and said, "Don't worry, I had a bad feeling before, so when everyone went to the toilet, I followed them." Clever. Gao Ming didn't know what this guy was proud of, so, "What did you find?" Gao Ming asked. "Except for Miss Ailing, I watched everyone go in and out of the toilet. There was absolutely no time to commit the crime." Eminem testified, "Although Heiji stopped me when I wanted to follow Miss Asuzu, and I was unable to save Mr. Sakura, but you must have never imagined that you are the only one who doesn't have an alibi, right?" Amu looked at him with confidence. Aling, by the way, looked at Heiji with disdain. Heiji, but Aling was confused. Heiji was stunned when he heard this, and then asked, "How did you know that Mr. Sakura would be killed?" "I have to go to the room to rest by myself at this time. Isn't this what the victim often says before dying?" Eminem said matter-of-factly. Heiji came to understand more and more Shinichi's evaluation of Eminem's arbitrary approach to solving crimes. "But if it is really the previous serial murder case, you just said that before you came, you were attacked by a mysterious person, and that person should be the murderer, right?" Aling suddenly said at this time. "Huh? You were attacked?" Gaoming looked over with some dissatisfaction. "Then why didn't you report Junsha?" "That's true. By the way, do you have an alibi at the time?" Heiji laughed, trying to distract him. "Heiji, when did I ever come to Junsha for anything?" Gaoming sighed and continued recording. "I have been at the tea house in the afternoon." Aling said at this time, "That is to say, at least in the fake heaven and earth bridge, the person who attacked Heiji could not be Ailing. Others, including the proprietress and Mr. Sakura, did leave for a while in the afternoon, and when they came back, they were not much earlier than when you arrived at the tea house." Although Kagoro drank too much, his memory in this regard is still very good clear. "But just now we have Mr. Amu's alibi, right? After all, he followed us to the toilet." Day rolled his eyes at this time. "Furthermore, no killed members have been found in the Akatsuki organization yet. There are still 3, namely, Nagato, Pain, and Hidden. Assuming that Mr. Sakura is one of them, there are still 3. There are only 2 left, which means there is a possibility of a gang committing the crime." Heiji analyzed at this time. "Wait a minute, if we and Mr. Sakura are both members of the Akatsuki organization, shouldn't he know the murderer? How could Mr. Sakura be unprepared when other people are dying?" Monk Ryuan asked at this time. I want to eliminate everyone's suspicion. Indeed. So judging from the fact that Mr. Sakura didn't even release the Pokémon, if he is really a member of the Akatsuki organization, then he should also be involved in the previous murders. But he didn't expect that the other party was I want to kill him as well. He said, "Hey, is there anyone who wouldn't have thought of this?" Sakura wondered at the side. It's not normal for someone to kill so many people and then kill his accomplice. Don't forget, Mr. Rang is an antique dealer. If the serial murder case originated from unequal distribution of stolen goods, then when the murderer joined forces with Mr. Rang before, it was probably Mr. Rang who was responsible for contacting the buyers who sold the goods for cash. In this way, he will not suspect that the other party wants to kill him. He explained point, but Mr. Sakura obviously didn't expect that his accomplice seemed to have found a way to cash in. At this moment, Junsha, who was investigating the scene, came over with a piece of paper. Police department, we found this at the scene. Eminem glanced out of the corner of his eye and found the above is the same painting as the one on the anonymous letter received by Kuala Temple. Dang dang, the fever symptoms have disappeared, but the throat symptoms are at their worst. The coughing cannot be stopped, and the fatigue is also severe. It may be because I haven't had a good rest in a row. However, since I don't have a fever, I have no mental problems. I will be back later. There are 2 updates. By the way, I would like to remind everyone, don't think about using pure fruit juice to supplement vitamins while you are suffering from this disease. You must either eat fruit, effervescent tablets, or vitamin tablets. When you have symptoms in the throat, drinking pure juice is like swallowing a needle. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.